What's happening, everyone? I'm here with the brother Nopal. He's back, man. It's been a couple weeks since we heard from Nopal, and he's got some time, man, and he's got some things on his mind. So we thought it'd be a good time to talk some boxing. Welcome back, Nopal. What's happening, brother?
Oh man, thank you. How you doing, Chicano? I'm over here, man, burning up over here, man. I was drinking coffee the whole morning, and I was on Twitter, being a troll or whatever, and I've been ready to cook for a couple hours now, before the coffee wears out, man.
Dude, yeah, it's good stuff, man. I usually see you taking on the trolls in the morning. I go on and I see Nopal going to work on Twitter, man. It's good work that you're doing. It doesn't go unappreciated, my friend.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this, but well, I'm pretty sure they do, but I'm the troll of all trolls, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's only when I get to voice my opinion is when people get to see that I'm not really, what they think as far as the troll part, you know what I mean?
Nah, I hear
But
you,
if
man. It's like a necessary evil, huh?
yeah, got to get it out of the way and then our true opinion comes out when we speak about it. And sometimes, we may have like we might be hard on a fighter, and then like I was telling you earlier, our opinion can vary just depending, man. Sometimes we get another perspective, and it opens up our eyes to stuff that we didn't know. So you know what I mean. I'm not perfect, you know.
No, I hear you there, man. I'm not perfect either. But bro, since you've been gone for a while, like man, the floor is yours, man. Tell me, what do you want to speak about? We can get into it. I know you got some shit to say.
Man, let's start it off with like a weekend recap of the fights. At least talk about Brook and Mungia.
All right, man. We didn't even cover the lead up to the Mungia fight simply because it was a little bit of an overmatched opponent. But let's get into it, man. What'd you think about Mungia? How do you look? And first off, I want to give a shout out to Remy in the house. Remy, what's happening, man? Saludos indeed.
What up, Remy? Yeah, so You know, uh, you're right. There was no build up to the Mungia fight at all because it was a pretty much a dumb fight. You know what I mean? Like a dumb matchup. We're expecting for a little more, like a different opponent at least for Mungia. But you know what? I was anticipating just seeing him back in the ring, bro. I thought he did excellent against Rosado, and I really liked that fight. I thought Rosado lost every freaking round, but on this fight, I noticed that he was a little more reserved. It wasn't the usual Mungia. Maybe it had to do with the cold weather, but I was able to see that Mungia has the ability to go in there and you know have a different game plan as opposed to just going in there and banging. He looked a little like he was careful at first. He was trying to read his opponent, and then he was able to pot shot his way in and land a good shot. Which I was impressed. He actually showed some defensive moves, in my opinion, and you know, um, it's encouraging to see him fight a different way. Because he's gonna need that with the when he steps up and fights, uh, gives us a good fight. He's gonna need that. You know, what do you think, Chicano?
Yeah, man, I agree, dude. He looks good. Like he had poise early, and it's funny. Some people were, I think the broadcaster was talking about like, oh, well, we know that he had trouble, making weight. So there was this possibility that perhaps Mungia was somehow not the same dude, but he looked poised and he still got Ballard out of there quite early. You know what I mean? And I like what I'm seeing too. And you know what I've noticed? There's two things I'm hearing. One, I think people are starting to change their tune on Mungia. People are slowly starting to backtrack all the criticism because they realize that this guy might actually have enough skill to hang in there. I've always been on the Mungia train. I have the receipts for it. I really don't know what people were thinking about the whole Gabe Rosado versus Mungia thing being a 50-50 fight. I told people, like, if you think it's 50-50, then bet some money on it because the odds are wide. And I think they were wide for a reason. Mungia took care of Rosado just like I knew he would, and he took care of Ballard just like I knew he would. We didn't even cover the lead up to that fight. So that's the one thing I'm hearing. And then the other thing I'm hearing too is that it's about time for Mungia to step up. So two things. One, people are acknowledging that he has skills. People are acknowledging that he might even beat Jamal Charlo if Jamal Charlo sticks around. And then I'm also hearing that he might need to step up. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think we would all like him to step up, but the reality is we also need to keep in perspective what fights are available for him and on the table. And also another thing that I tell people is, well, we want him to step up, but at the same time, if they move him a little slower, it's understandable because, you know, he really like up to this point, he's had one way of fighting, and that's just get in there and bang and not even really move his head. So it's understandable that they want to work on other aspects. As far as him fighting an Andrade or a fighter like that, like I wouldn't necessarily be too I wouldn't put too much pressure on him to fight somebody like that because it's just a fight. We know Andrade's going to get in there and make it safe and just pot shot from the outside. So it's like, it's like Andrade is going to make no effort to give us the type of fight that we want. So why put that much pressure on Munguia? Why is this so much pressure put on Mexican fighters to fight everybody? Even the fights that necessarily isn't in their best interest. When nobody else gets that type of pressure, I think the Mexican fighter has typically put itself in that position where they have to prove everybody wrong from all aspects, and I don't think it's a fair thing to put on Munguia. You know what I mean? Because I think it's a critical time. I think in Mexican boxing, I think that we should start putting less pressure on these guys, to fight all these different styles. The pressure's not put on anybody else, so why just put it on Munguia? You know what I mean?
I hear you. Dude, Team Batman Boxing says, loved it so much when Canelo stopped Billy Joe was perfect. Oh, yeah, man. That's a great fight, and I think a lot of the hardcore Canelo fans are starting to say that I think Billy Joe Saunders did a better job with Canelo than Plant did against Canelo. But we could talk about that another time. I guess to answer your question, Nopal, because I've been wondering that same thing. The thing I get from people are two arguments, and I just want to know your thoughts, man. The two arguments that I hear is that one, well, Munguia's already got 40 fights, so that's why he needs to step up. And the second part is that, well, he's already been a world champion at 154 pounds. Those are the two things I hear the most. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the 40 fights doesn't mean anything. Canelo started his career in the U.S. When he fought Floyd. He already had about 50 fights. But you see how his evolution from the time that he had those 40 fights, because I think their records were almost close. I'm not sure if it was 40 or 50 fights that they both had around that. I think it was more of the 40 when Canelo fought Floyd. They both had a similar records. But like as I was trying to say, Canelo's evolution from that point when he had 40 fights won to right now, which is about 10 years ago or something like that, is just, it's been night and day difference. You can almost call him an amateur when he even had 40 fights. So I think the same logic could be applied to Munguia. He still got a lot of time to work on stuff, and he's got a long way to go. So, the fact that he has 40 fights is just the whole thing that you need to keep into perspective is that these Mexicans, they don't do amateurs. So their amateur career is like in the pros, and it's with Mexican level competition. So it's a lot different than trying to do that in the US, where, of course you're going to fight different styles or whatever. And so it's not the same thing.
Mm, no, dude, I hear you, man. And as far as him having been a world champion already,
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. We can do that, but like I said, there's other fighters that's the same way, and that same pressure isn't applied to them. You know what I mean? We even have pay-per-view fighters doing that, and I don't see, even if you apply that type of pressure to their careers, like Tank or whatever, they don't listen to anybody. So, and they don't care what anybody thinks. They're making it obvious that their career is like kind of like their fighting career is some WWE spectacle. You know what I mean? And they don't give a crap about what anybody else thinks or tells them. So why should Munguia? You know what I mean?
nah, dude, I totally agree. But I'll tell you this right now, dude. I think that Munguia has a chance to run the tables at 160, bro. I have this feeling, man. Like I, I'm pretty sure, unless there's kind of like an up and coming 160 pounder that we're not considering. But like, if I was to look at like Jamal Charlo, look at Triple G, Murata. Like, I don't know, man. I think Munguia matches up very well against all those dudes, but they might not even stick around. That's the thing, bro. Like all these and Andrade, like even these four dudes, like I think there's a chance they could all move up or retire. Like the 160-pound division is going to have like a new crop of people at the top here pretty shortly. Munguia is just already positioned to be on top, man. Like, should be green lights here. This guy's going to be a 2-division champion by just being at the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? But that
Yeah,
happens
by
before, so it's not his fault. You know what I mean?
like default, huh? He's just like last man standing, and there's fights out there for him. I think the Janabek fight sounds cool. I think he could probably beat both Charlos, in my opinion. You know, Triple G fight is a good one, but Triple G's fighting is he's fighting like preservation fights. So to be honest, and he's a businessman, so we don't know if Triple G would take that fight at this point in his career.
Oh yeah, and then Remy, dude, he wants to know if Demetrius Ballard was with Golden Boy, and he wants to know because he agrees with you, Nopal, that it was a bad in-house matchup. I don't know anything about that dude. All I know is he was like undefeated. I don't even know if I've even heard of that dude. The odds reflected that it was going to be a whitewash, but I mean, I don't know. You know anything about Ballard, dude?
Actually, don't know any. I mean, I thought he was okay, but and for some reason, Munguia, like I said, I don't know if it was because it was cold there. They said it was like 40 or 50 degrees, but Munguia came out with a different style. He wasn't ready to bang it out.
Oh yeah, I hear you, man. So what else has been on your mind, Nopal? Talk to me, man. Now that you're back, bro, you got anything you want to cook on? Anything that pisses you off? When you hear about all these stories online, all these narratives, what's on your mind,
Um,
dude?
I've been thinking about the Devin Haney situation, a lot because
Mm.
we have multiple opinions when it comes to Devin Haney, and you know, like I really want to be fair with Devin Haney, but at the same time, there's so many ways to criticize him. And unfortunately, he's turning out to be just like another Tank Davis. Uh, but the difference is, Tank Davis, I don't think is told exactly what to do. He just knows what to do. You know what I mean? He does it on his own because he's almost like his own boss. So, he totally is taking advantage of the politics in boxing. And at the same time, I can put myself in his shoes and just the thing with him is, reportedly he makes about 3 million per fight for fighting anybody. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how bad his opponent is. He's making like 3 million for every fight. So that instantly puts him in a position that's like above everybody else. Even the guys, I don't even think Lomachenko makes 3 million. I don't think he made that for the Teofimo fight, which is absurd, for somebody to be making that much money. And so if you put yourself in Haney's shoes, the situation's like this, you know, because like one thing I gathered too is because Lou DiBella doesn't have his own venue, right? So he's uh they're not making offers, they're taking offers for Gambosis. They're not in a position to make offers, they're taking them basically. So right away off the bat, we put, we'll say that Devin Haney, for a fight of this magnitude, he's not just going to take his usual 3 million. He's going to want at least 4 or 5, right? So, in my opinion, that just makes the fight out of reach for anybody. So the only way that we will ever see this fight is if uh, Devin Haney tries to or sits back on this one as far as his minimum money. So there would have to be enough money on the table to pay Gambosis, around the same money or a little extra more than Devin Haney. So, I think that if Haney took about 4 million, then they'd have to pay Gambosis about 5 million. And so that's $9 million. I think that just makes the fight impossible to happen, you know. So and then if you look at it from Haney's point of view, why would you expect somebody to take less money than he usually gets anyways? So, you really can't blame David Haney that much either. But as fans, we should always just keep in mind that I think that we should keep in mind that the politics of boxing ruin a lot of these fights, and that whenever you see Devin Haney telling somebody that he's that trying to call somebody out, we should always know that it's kind of like pump fakes because those type of fights are out of reach for him because of the financial situation. They're just not that they're out of reach because he's not going to take less money than he usually makes just because the opponent is worth more money. So.
Yeah. Dude, I want to give a shout out to Maestro on the house. He says, "What's up to us, man? Great combo. We appreciate it. And we're definitely looking forward to Mano a Mano. Hopefully it's live here in just the coming hours." And Team Batman Box is still hanging out with us, man. He said, Brook got 4 million and Khan got 7 million. Big numbers. Damn. We're going to get
Wow.
into that here in just a little bit, man. But I just want to add to what you said about Devin Haney, man. I think you're right. I feel like they kind of spoiled Devin Haney ahead of time, giving him money that he didn't generate himself, and it's kind of caused a spiral effect everywhere. Now everybody wants big purses, even against Haney. Haney wants bigger purses himself. Even the women are sitting there saying like, "Oh, well, if you can pay Haney, then like money that he doesn't generate, then like why can't you pay us more money than we generate?" Right? So it's just like this weird spiraling effect, in my opinion. And also, I'm very happy with the idea that Devin Haney might not get the Kambosos fight. On a personal level, I already think that Kambosos is the man. I don't need anybody to tell me who the champion at lightweight is. Sure, Haney has a trinket, man, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it'll go from one person to another. Like, he kind of inherited the belt. If it falls into somebody else's lap, then if we're all going to call that person the champion, then it's just the same to me, whether it's Haney or somebody else. I am curious to see like what a big talker he'll be at 140. I will say this: I feel like Haney has kind of called out most people at 135, so I've kind of started to acknowledge the fact that for one reason or another, and I don't think it's like fear, for one reason or another, people aren't getting in the ring with Devin Haney. I personally don't think that he can beat Lomachenko. I do think he could probably beat Kambosos, but there's a reason that Haney really wants that fight, just like there's a reason everybody wants the Kambosos fight. All those belts against a lightweight who's probably not going to be at the top for very long. But I think at 140, bro, Devin Haney's going to have all kinds of smoke if he wants it. Like, he's not going to be able to pipe up and say, "Oh, I'll fight anybody." No, no, no. I think that even a pro grades would be willing to get in there, and it's going to be a whole different story. And there's some bigger dudes there at 140. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these big fights are going to come down to the money aspect because these guys got big egos, bro. And Haney's not going to just get in there and tell like a guy like Pro Grace, "Hey, I'm calling you out." And then when they get to the negotiating table, fucking offer Pro Grace less than him. They're going to want something like 50-50, and the zone ain't going to want to do that. Pay 50-50 on those fights. So like you were right, they spoiled him too quick, and these are the effects. He'll be lucky to get another Jojo Diaz who's willing to make 700,000 when he's over here making like more than 3 times the amount that Jojo Diaz made. Like, it's just not fair. You know what I mean? Because Jojo Diaz was, you know, maybe he might not be in the boss type of position to ask for that, but realistically they're worth around the same money and they should be both be getting paid like 50-50 splits. Him and
Well, dude,
Jojo.
you're right, man. Well, I'll tell you this, and maybe Maestro will be more of an authority to speak on it. But like, to me, like, if you listen to that crowd, like, it seemed to me like they're way more behind Jojo Diaz than they were Devin Haney. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it didn't seem like there was like this big
absolutely.
crowd. On top of that, too, man. And this is from what I know from going to Vegas shows. Like, dude, a lot of those people can be like filler seats. You know what I mean? Like, I was at the Canelo Golovkin fight, and there were people sitting next to me who had comp tickets simply because they were gambling. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a flood of people in there that just did not actually pay for that fight and were there just enjoying the comps because there's a shit ton of extra seats because, well, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think Devin Haney's selling out any bowls right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just, he's on a digital platform. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it'd be hard to generate a fan base, in my opinion, like that anyways.
So yeah, I just keep going back to the part where, if I'm Gambosis, I'm gonna ask for a little bit more than what Devin Haney's gonna make for this fight, right? And of course, the promoter's not gonna want to put up that kind of money. You know what I mean? He's entitled to a little more than Devin Haney, right? Devin Haney has the fake belt. He's got the real belts, and there's nothing more to it. Plus that, there's other things too. Fighting in Australia and all that. It's just not a fight that's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
I hear you, man. So what else is on your mind, bro? Now that you're cooking, dude, anything else is that you want to get off your chest about what's going on in boxing these days, brother?
Nah, I think we should probably get into the Brook fight recap, bro, and then we'll see if we can think of anything else.
Hey, man, that was a pretty enjoyable fight. Khan versus Brook, dude. Kel Brook took care of some business. Amir Khan, well, he didn't get put down, but I mean, fight got stopped, dude. Just how I predicted. Now, if anybody doesn't know, the odds were even for Kel Brook by KO. He was a slight favorite, but if you took him by KO, it was even money, according to Bet Online, and I put down a hundo, and I won some money. I was feeling good about it. And dude, you know what? I knew it was going to happen like that for a couple reasons because everybody was talking about Amir Khan's speed, which I agree with. But and this is, I got a little bit of education too because I was watching Prime Con, and although he's got this great hand speed, like he's kind of one dimensional. Like I didn't see him no ball take over.
Yeah, he's got a lot of deficiencies in there, and I think that you know s- uh since the Canelo fight, it was exposed that if you had good timing, you could just, I don't know what people say about that fight, man. Most the general public seems to say that, you know, Khan was winning every round with the Canelo fight, but the truth is he won one or two rounds, and then the last five he lost every single round until he got knocked out. And he's supposed to be this master boxer. I mean, I could see that he has a lot of speed, but at the same time he does a lot of dumb mistakes. And he shouldn't be fighting like that. He's got some tools, some physical attributes, but he just doesn't know how to use them. And I think he's thoroughly exposed. And at this point he's just a fighter that brings money to the venues and all that, when they fight with him. And I noticed that Brook has you know, it's been a while since I was able to appreciate his skills, man. He had such a nice flow in there, and he has such good timing, and he was catching. I started to score the fight. I think I only gave one round to Amir Khan, but I was really into this fight because I got into the buildup early that morning. I was putting it aside because I was being a little negative about the situation. How long the fight took and all that, but at the same time, I was able to get back into the flow of it, and I really got into this fight, and I realized that what brings these fights together sometimes are these good storylines, all that bad blood and all that. So, I was really able to enjoy this fight, man.
Nice,
So it's
man.
okay.
Oh, sorry, go
It's
ahead.
okay to be a little casual about these fights, man. That I think that's what the sport is lacking. There's lacking that these casual minds when it comes to these fights because we're getting a little too Nazi-ish with our opinions. As
No, I
far as
agree,
boxing.
man. Like, and on top of that too, like casual fans, they also want to be entertained. So I think that we need to be a little bit more welcoming. Like the sweet science, if you can appreciate the sweet science on a different level, that's one thing. But people want to be entertained, and I was actually entertained with this Conor versus Brook fight. If you're around our age, if you're like me and Nopal, getting older, man, like we remember like that feud. We remember when these two were at their peak. But dude, yeah, I was going back and watching the old Con fights, and he had hand speed, man. But I'll tell you, like a lot of his defense was the fact that he could move around. And I just didn't think that he was going to be able to move around and get on his bike for 12 rounds. And the only thing that needed to hold up would be Kell Brook's eyes. That's it. Uh, Amir Khan's really good at like holding and then acting like it's the other guy. Like I watched that when I went to rescore the Lamont Peterson fight. Like he's sitting there clinching and holding. He's really good at holding, not necessarily inside fighting, but clinching until the ref can break it up. And the guy acts like he looks at the ref like, "Hey, look at what this guy's doing." But I looked at Kell Brook. I'm like, "Well, this guy's huge," compared to Amir Khan. Like although I was surprised though because Kell Brook really didn't try to fight out of a clinch too often. Although towards the end, man, he started coming through with uppercuts and he was really taking his time breaking down uh Amir Khan, and you could tell his corner too was just they were just patient. They knew it was only a matter of time, and it was almost like everything went according to plan for the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was really surprised with Brooks Corner. I go back and I think about all that shit they talked. How he was telling Bomac was telling uh Cal Brooks trainer that he's put Cal Brook through a lot of unwinnable situations. So that was one of the details that I paid attention to, and I was actually agreeing with it. Like, you know, we got to start putting some. They should freaking put these trainers' records on BoxRec. Because a lot of these guys, they take unwinnable fights for the money. They're just, rather than telling their fighter like, let's not do this fight, man. It's not good for you. So these trainers need to their reputations need to be held accountable. But yeah, I kind of went off on that one, but
Well, hey,
so
dude, Maestro was following up on something we mentioned earlier, brother. He said that the crowd for the Tank JoJo fight, or excuse me, with the Haney JoJo fight was 65-35 in favor of JoJo. And well, Ferrari, it looks like he's having a good time with us here. He says that we're just hating Khan because he beat Pereira. Well, to be honest, Ferrari, I'm more of like a Marquez guy. I never really liked Pereira that much, to be honest. Not me, So I don't know about Nopal. Nopal, are you salty about that one?
Nah, I don't even remember that fight. I mean, I saw it, but I wasn't even into Pereira like that. But,
It's funny too. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I think maybe that fight did happen, or was it like Morales, or who knows? You know what I mean? They Pereira and Morales, they both hung around a little bit too long. Oh, and it looks like we got the unofficial third member of the Canelo cartel in the house, Mr. 92 AKU. What's happening, brother?
Yo, what up, Chicano, Nopal?
What's up, 92?
It's good to talk to you, man. I feel like it's been a while since we spoke, man. And I heard you on with D-Style the other day speaking some truth. So I'm glad you were there. Just talking about how things really were back in the day, because it's only a handful of us that remember. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, facts. It was fun. It was fun back then.
Yes, it was. It was kind of fun chasing all the cult off. You know what I mean? Just like it took some time, man. But we changed the tide. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
So, man, what'd you think about we're just about to wrap up the Khan Brook fight discussion. You have any final thoughts before we maybe talk about something else?
Yeah, just I'm a big Amir Khan fan, and I was rooting for him, but he was washed, like, super washed Khan right now.
Dude, he was definitely washed. I don't know if anybody watches Dwyer, but dude, I was listening to Dwyer ahead of time, and he said he was baffled that Khan was the underdog, and then he was sitting there talking about how Khan was going to be super focused in Omaha, because there's not much of a nightlife there. And I sent a message and I said, hey, man, don't sleep on the Omaha nightlife. I went there once and there was like a sea of beautiful college girls. And Dwyer actually responded to me and he said, Khan's 35. Come on now, but I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't know about that. That might not mean much to Amir Khan. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, fact. Khan, you think Khan's a Hall of Famer?
Hell nah, bro.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, maybe he is because he's famous, right? It's called the Hall of Fame. It's not called the Hall of Accomplishments.
No, on his record. On his record.
Well, he did really good at 140. He was the man at 140 for a little while. And then after that, man, I mean, he didn't really do too much at 147, but he's got a pretty good record. His resume is not bad, but he doesn't have that many great wins. Although, I don't know, probably. I mean, if they're letting these other people in, who knows, man? Like, he was good for the sport. I'll say that, dude. Like, dude, when I went back and rescored that Amir Khan versus Lamont Peterson fight, like, dude, you could hear, like, and this is like in Washington, D.C., like, dude, there's a big crowd. Like, I think it was just a better era for boxing in general, as far as like fan attendance and, just casual knowledge towards the sport. But dude, like, there was a lot of people there for that fight, like that were excited about it, So he definitely generated buzz, man. Like, he was actually a notable name. And for what it's worth, I mean, he was pretty fan friendly. Like, I don't know why Khan. Oh, you can tell me this, 92 AK. Like, man, it's almost like he tried to show off his chin every time he'd get clocked. I'd always kind of see him kind of be like, like motioning the other guy, like, let's go. I'm like, dude, like, you're known for having like a bad chin. You're trying to act like you don't have a bad chin. It's just a bizarre thing to me.
Yeah, because he has
it's kind of.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. 92.
Well, he has a really bad. He has a couple of KO losses, like that Maurice Prescott. What the fuck was his name? The white boy?
Oh, like, is it Breedis Prescott? I know you're talking about the first time he got jacked up, and dude, yeah, people didn't trust his chin forever, and then finally when people started to believe in him, then he starts getting chinny again.
But he has some wins over Malinaji and Madonna, obviously, and the KO was Zav Judah.
Yeah, that was an all right fight at the time. I remember that. I went to that one.
Yeah, his 147 record is not that good.
Probably 140 is good, huh?
Yeah, 140. Those were his main wins.
And if you look at him too, he looks like do you guys think that his chin was appropriate for like 135, 140? Because most of them guys like I've told Chicano a bunch of times, is you gotta, if you're a natural 135 pounder, you really have to watch who you fight, because a lot of these dudes are cruising through that division on their way up to 147. You know what I mean? And they're
Mm-hmm.
just going to be there a little bit of time, and they got a big size advantage over the natural 135ers like Valdez and, guys that are small like that, you know?
But I think he should get hella credits. Like the names that he fought. Like look, he fought Madonna, Prime Madonna. Then he fights Danny Garcia, who gets knocked the fuck out. But that was the best. Those are the 1 and 2 140 pounders. And then he fights Terrence Crawford and Canelo when it takes big balls to jump to a division up to fight Canelo, and then fighting Canelo was probably number 1 pound for pound, and Terrence Crawford is arguably, some people have him pound for pound. He fought him too.
Oh
Yeah, but I
yeah.
don't even think Canelo was on the pound for pound list when he fought him, those were all fights that he lost, so it just depends how you look at things. But like I said, I think it's the Hall of Fame, It's not really the Hall of Accomplishments. It's like if you're hella famous, you get to go in there. There's who Arturo Gotti's in there. You got fighters that didn't have much of a good record. They're remembered for some really big fights. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he's gonna make it. I'm not sure if he's gonna be a first ballot type guy, but he'll be there for sure. And one thing I wanted to say is that when I went to boxing scene, I saw some articles on this, and it looks like I don't know if you guys got a chance to hear about the glove situation. They were like, it's bizarre that they made him switch gloves, and Brook goes on to say that they were trying to knock at his hotel room, like to bother him like early in the morning. So they were like playing some mental warfare with his ass. They really wanted him to lose this fight.
Oh, definitely, man. And you know what? Like, there's not too many articles on it, but dude, I think there was a rehydration clause because you hear Brooke multiple times reference, oh, they had some stuff that I can't really talk about regarding the weight. But then there is, I think it's like with one of the female reporters, Khan references a rehydration clause. He goes, oh, but that's not really my business, but I think there's something in the contract. So, like, dude, yeah, it seemed like the odds were stacked against Kell Brook. Khan did everything he could mind game wise, but the bell rang. And what happened was, I gotta say, like, I'm actually happy for Kell Brook. Like, you could tell he really wanted Khan's respect, man. I was laughing at their face off. Did you guys see that one where he's like, oh yeah, Khan never gives me any credit.
Yeah. I kind of felt bad for Brook, man. To have a guy like Khan just playing this, have his, this mental warfare where he's on top, and he's really like, you could tell Khan's really playing Brook mentally. It's just crazy. So, that's a part of the buildup that I was trying to say, man. I really got into that part. I really wanted Khan to get knocked out, especially for the reason that I thought, everything was stacked against Brook,
Definitely, man. So what else is on your mind, Nopal? Where are we going, brother? You've been
You know
off for
what
a little
else,
while.
bro?
And listen,
Did you
go
hear
ahead.
that Connor Ben and Eubank Senior we're trying to call out Brook now?
Well, Kell Brook's calling himself the king in the north now. You know what I mean?
Oh, that must be why, huh?
I guess, bro. I mean, what do you think about those prospects? I mean, I don't know. You guys can go ahead and cook on that a little bit. Let me know what you think about those potential matchups.
What do you think, 92?
Well, this fight was at 154 or was it 147?
149.
Yeah,
Oh, 145.
149.
Yeah, so Brook was always like kind of like, sucking himself to be 147. Like, I think he'd do pretty good at 154. And he's fought a couple of times there.
Do you think these two guys Eubank fights at 160, don't he?
Yeah.
So that's definitely out of the table, right? Off the table right there.
Well, yeah,
so Connor
Brook
Ben fights.
He sent a tweet saying, "Well, okay, we could get it on at 155. Otherwise, don't mention my name or something." And then Eubank got a little bit mouthy, but I'm just like, I don't know. When these guys on that rock, and hey, man, I like British fighters. I'm not here to criticize what's going on over there, but it's just funny to see so much pride going on over there. Like, dude, you're calling out a guy who just fought at 149, like, who's kind of a career 147 pounder. Like, he might look better, and I think he would benefit from going up to 154. But like, I don't know, man. Eubank, he really should have bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, he might even like benefit from fighting like a Liam Smith or something like that. You know, this can't be like the only option for him is to call out Kell Brook. It's just a high profile clout chase, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's probably how it is. What about Conor Benn? I think that Brooks should, like, even if he decided to agree to the same type of weigh in at 149, like a 2 pound allowance, and then but no rehydration. I think it'd be a good fight for Brook. But if I was Brook, I'd be like, man, 70-30 is a split, bro, if you want that fight, Connor. Because, for sure, if you win, you're just building your resume off of my name, and I'm just a stepping stone. So, you know what I mean? He should pull what same thing as like the situation with Canelo and Cotto. That was basically the split, 70-30, I think that would be.
And I think what he should do, man, is bring Conor Benn up to 54, man. Like, he shouldn't weight train himself for this dude. You know what I mean? It's clear that he doesn't really want to make 147 like that anymore. And he should be trying to make that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys think he could win or what?
No, I don't. It depends, bro. Like, I think he's kind of shot, like, you're the expert on his eyes, Nopal. Like, the guy's got shattered eyeballs, but I don't know, dude. Like, I think a real solid puncher. Like, I don't know if he goes up, I think it could be dangerous. I mean, if I was him, I would retire, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a thought always, man.
I go for one more payday to go get because I don't think Conor Benn's if he's not ranked in the 147s like that really that high. He has really no wins and not a big enough name for Brook status, like for big name fights. How about he just cashes out at 154 and fights like a Fedora or Tim Tszyu?
Dude, those would be good fights, man, and it would be good for the opponents to get that W. If you could get like a Kell Brook win, like his record is actually, even Amir Khan's, like their records are still pretty good. Like collectively, they don't have that many losses. When you look at it, it's actually impressive that they've been shot for so long, but for some reason, like they don't have that many losses or knockouts. But everybody thinks of them both as like shot and easily knocked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or he could go to PB. He could also like Eric. I'm looking at Erickson Lubin doesn't have a fight. He beats Erickson Lubin. He has a title shot against the Charlo Castano winner.
Yeah, that's a good fight right there.
So what else is going on, Paul? What's on your mind, man? Any other subjects you want to cook on?
Man, I saw Golovkin was talking shit, and I'm glad 92 is here because he's a huge Golovkin fan, man.
We got the right guy on right now. No, Paul, go for it, man. Like, tell us about it.
Let me get into that article so I can read a little off. But, of course, I think he's itching for that fight now with Canelo. And he says he has the ability to trouble Canelo inside the ring. So let me log into that.
Because, of course, he does. He already beat him already.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Hey, you know what, man?
He beat him twice, huh? He beat him twice?
No, he beat him. Come on, man. Pacquiao lost to Tim Bradley the first time, but the people spoken. You know who won that fight, and the people spoken. You ask most non-Canelo fanboys. I'm kind of a Canelo fanboy, but you ask them a fair. Triple G won the first fight.
When's the last time you watched that fight?
Fuck, I haven't seen it in a while.
Take another look, bro. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? Maybe you should join us for the rescore. We're gonna do it soon, man. Canelo versus Triple G, the rescore. Was it a robbery? We're going to find out. Is the draw far-fetched? We're going to look into it, man, because, I think people remember that fight a little differently, man. And you know what? There are some people out there that I would claim to be neutral or not necessarily known as fanboys that think a draw is reasonable. And I know a couple, I'm not going to list their names off yet because I'm going to save it for the show, that think that Canelo won that fight. You know what I mean? And all I could say is if you go back and watch that fight, like, Canelo is not – people think that, like, Canelo was just like scared. Like, dude, if you watch that fight, he's in complete control the whole time as far as where he wants his feet to be. It's just the truth. Like, go watch like when they take it to the ropes. They'll tell you, like, the HBO commentary will be like, oh, Triple G's got him to the ropes. But never, ever did Triple G ever motion to cut off the ring at any time. They had a flow. They had a moving pocket together. There was never a time where Triple G, and he's very good at cutting off the ring. He never made the motion to cut off the ring simply because they had their own pocket developed. So this idea that like, he was being pushed to the ropes, that's bullshit if you ask me, amongst other things. And I'll say this too, here's a little bit of an early preview. Like, we know who the bigger puncher was in that fight.
So
yeah, but
92,
just because
oh yeah,
go ahead.
I got a question for you. When the fight was fresh, the first one they
Mhm.
fought, right? What were most of the Triple G fans saying as far as how many rounds Canelo lost? Weren't a lot of them saying that, Golovkin won about 9 rounds?
Yeah, I could see 9-10. That's what I was expecting. KO.
And what do you think now after the fight's been like 2 or 3 years ago? Do you still believe that Canelo lost about 9 rounds?
Oh, you mean Canelo lost? Oh, I thought you meant like to the 9th round, like to get KO'd. You're asking him how many rounds Triple G won?
Yeah, exactly. Because I
I think
remember
it was a close
distinctly.
fight. It was hella close. It was like they
No, but I
were all
mean,
like 7-5.
back then when the fight was fresh,
Mhm.
the Triple G fans were not saying that it was close at all. A lot of them,
Mhm.
most of them, I remember. I remember that most of them were saying that Canelo lost about 9 rounds in that fight.
Yeah, I can't really speak on that. I don't know. I talk people, know that Triple G won for the most. He edged it out, but it was pretty close. And then I think it was the same fight. I think it goes the same way in the rematch. It was a close, but I think Canelo won. Like I think they're both hella close.
Okay, well, who do you think had the clearer win?
I think Triple G had the clearer win in the first one, and Canelo had a clear win in the second. Like, not like when I say clear, I don't mean like, oh, it was like a 9-3 or a 8-4. I think they were both like 7-5. I wouldn't even be mad if you had a draw. They were both that close.
Well, that's the thing. They were both close fights, and to me, it doesn't take that much to believe that Canelo was in that first fight. Like, I've watched the first fight recently, and I'm going to watch it again for the rescore. But, dude, it's clear to me that he sweeps the first 3 rounds right away. And if you give him the last 2 rounds, well, then it only takes 1 round for a draw, 2 more rounds to have the win. But we're going to get into that. But, like, this idea, I'll be honest, like, it is a fact that Triple G came on and dominated the middle rounds. I mean, that seems to be the narrative. Canelo did good early, closed well late. But Triple G was dominant in the middle rounds.
But
that's
you
a
guys
discussion.
know, but it's. Would you say the majority of people felt Triple G won?
Well,
What do you think?
I would say
The first one.
I would say so. But one of the things that I've learned, bro, about like going back and rescoring a lot of these controversial fights is a lot of people just go back and remember it how they remember it. Like people hardly revisit controversial fights. Like for instance, like you mentioned earlier, Bradley versus Pacquiao, right? Like you think
Mhm.
Bradley did win the fight, right?
No, Pacquiao won the first one, as in most fans.
So, I mean, dude, all I can tell you is that we went back and we scored it, bro.
Yeah,
and
we
were
thought the same
surprised.
thing. 92, we thought the same exact thing. We had those feelings going into rewatching the fight. But go ahead, Chicano.
Yeah, man, my main point is I was surprised because I remember thinking it was a robbery. But, dude, if you just kind of ignore what the commentary has to say, like, to me, I had Bradley winning and it was not a robbery, but people were making it seem like it was this blatant robbery. But if you just go by the scoring criteria, bro, like, check it out. Like, if you haven't watched it, bro, like, it would be a great experiment. Go back and actually score that fight by yourself.
And turn off.
No, you can. Just don't let
you
them
don't have
dictate to you.
And a big thing, too, guys, about that was Bradley's reaction to him winning, because in his mind, he didn't think he was even close to winning. That's how in the zone he was about surviving and all that and he was just, fighting on instinct. And when he just expected to, lose that fight basically in his mind. But does that take away from the fact that he actually did pretty good in the fight, more than we think? No, it doesn't. Is a fighter allowed to think that he lost for a second? And is he allowed to go off natural feelings and react to something the wrong way? Like, you can't expect Bradley to be like all the other fighters acting like they win everything. You know what I mean? He was going on natural emotions. He probably thought he lost the fight, but his reaction was, well, let me go look at the tape.
Yeah, dude. Before that fight, dude, I know that G Funky had Bradley winning. So did I think Maestro, and I know Beeb did, I think, too. So, and I remember thinking like, oh man, I don't know. But dude, I went back and I was surprised, man. But like, if you don't go back and score these fights, and it's just that you just always talk about how you remember it, like sometimes the dynamic of things change. Like, dude, like, and I'm just saying in that first Canelo versus Triple G fight, a lot of people have this idea that Triple G was just chasing down Canelo, but it wasn't like that at all, man. Like, there was a moving pocket, kind of like the third Pacquiao versus Marquez fight, in my opinion. You just go back and watch it, you'll see that. I mean, Canelo dictates where they go when they stop. Like it's up to Canelo, like when they go to the ropes. You know what I'm saying? Canelo dictated the footwork in the second fight. He said, okay, no, what people weren't impressed with the way I did it then. So now I'm going to go on the front foot and I'm going to stay on the front foot and not get pushed back. Like he controlled the motion in the ring. You know what I mean? He controlled the ring in both fights, but that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you have to say, 92 AKU. In fact, I would love to get you on one of our shows, bro, so you could join us just to shoot the shit with us a little more.
Yeah, for sure. I think Triple G controlled a lot of it with his jab too. Like I think he was just hitting Canelo's head around, what I remember, and just keep Canelo hella respect his power, and so I don't think it's that crazy when the article you're going to talk about where he says Triple G can beat him, because you guys already admit that you guys can see a possibility where Triple G's beat Canelo in the first one. So why would it? I mean, well, he's looked kind of washed these last couple of fights.
I mean, that's a great point. Here's the main thing, bro. Like, you're right, because you know what? Those two fights were close. Like, why not throw them in together? There hasn't been anybody that's challenged Canelo really since those fights. I mean, I think Jacobs and
Kovalev.
That's right, 92 AKU. You always pipe up about that. You think the Jacobs fight was a draw? Is that right?
I think it could be a draw or a 1 round to Canelo, but I think if Jacobs went for it a little bit more, he could have won that fight. I think if he just went a little bit more, he kind of was boxing kind of neutral. He didn't go for the win. Like he was in the fight. Like kind of that's a missed opportunity for him. Big time.
He was definitely in the fight. Like I actually enjoy that fight. Going back and watching it, like that was actually a close fight. It's not so easy to come in and just take it to Canelo, though. You know what I mean? He's a natural counterpuncher, so it's like you got to risk it. You know what I mean? And if you risk it, you might pay the ultimate price, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen it multiple times. Like your boy Billy Saunders or Plant.
I think the Kovalev fight, like I think people maybe don't remember that one. Like I don't know. It's I'd love to go back and rescore that one, but it's not a controversial fight because hey, it ended in a knockout. But a lot of people think that that Kovalev was up. Like when I scored that fight, he wasn't up. To me, it was a draw going into that 11th round. And it's the funny thing is people don't treat it like some kind of miracle win, like some kind of miracle comeback win. But the thing is, it's just funny how Canelo is the only one who gets crap for like, the other guy was ahead until he got knocked out. Like, I mean, okay, look at Con Canelo. We hear that about that. Con was in the lead. Like, I haven't heard anybody try to say, Brook was up against Crawford until he got knocked out. Brook was up. Nobody says that, right? Like, and why is that? Just double standards.
I don't think he's getting shit. Like, I see that I give that as credit because I had Kovalev up by a round. I had him winning. I was nervous as fuck. I was rooting for Canelo. And I was sweating. Like, I was like, dude, this Canelo's gonna fucking lose this fight. If anything, this is like credit for him, like picking where he gets discredited is like, oh, Kovalev was washed. He was washed. He picks an old ass fighter. I'm like, no, man. Like he was beating the pound for pound. In my opinion, he was beating the pound for pound king at that point. Like, dude, like the fights Canelo is picking are. You think any of these guys? Do you think any guys that once he beats that Kovalev? You think?
I don't think so. And I always thought it was a good fight. Like I actually went to that one because it was a good fight. And I said, this dude, like Kovalev is a reigning, defending future Hall of Famer champion at the time, a legitimate champion. That's somebody who inherited a belt. He'd been at that weight class for a long time, lost it, got it back, and was actively defending it. So exactly. A champion's a champion, man, and it's like, it was a good fight. I think that Kovalev did a really good job with the jab, but he was having to fight a little bit differently too when Canelo dictated it. I'll say this when you watch that fight. There's two things. One, Canelo sets up that knockout. Two, you could tell he turns it on. If you just watch those last 2 rounds, he finally decides that he's going to turn it on to that next level. So it's just kind of one of those things that I think that, Canelo maybe had people stressing. Like myself, I was a little stressed, I'll be honest. But boom, he goes into that next gear and just executes him.
Oh, yeah, sends him to hell.
Dude, it was a beautiful knockout, man. And he tried to quiet the crowd immediately. You see it in the telecast, but the first thing he did was try to shush the crowd. You know what I mean? Because he's a man of peace.
Because it looked like Kovalev was dead for a second. Like he might have been dead.
Yeah, dude. And now Triple G, he wants to be put out of his misery now. That's what's going on.
I'm gonna be rooting for Triple G.
Well, dude, I don't see any way that Triple G can win this fight. What do you think, Nopal? Tell us about this article. It sounds to me like Triple G's getting a little mouthy, even though he hasn't really done anything himself in the last couple of years, or even since he fought Canelo, really, except for the Variance fight. And I do give him credit for that one, although a lot of people don't seem to. I give him credit for that win. Nopal, what do you have to say, bro?
Man, when I think about Triple G's career, it's unfortunate, that he was such a safe zone fighter, like a preservation type fighter, like it's unfortunate that he doesn't have more of these like this Mexican type of attitude with the huevos. You know what I mean?
What?
When Ward called him out, bro, you think Canelo would have said no to that? You know, I don't think Canelo would have said no to that. I think that Canelo would have felt obligated to fight Ward. You know what I mean? And leaving the money aside, you know, I don't even think he would care about that. He would have just said, hell yeah, let's fight, you know? And not to mention the fans would have been on his ass to fight Ward, you know, if that was Canelo in Triple G's position. And I tell people this all the time. That's the only situation that I can think of whenever I think about Triple G's career, the fact that he didn't take that fight, you know? The fact that they were capping about him willing to fight anybody and crying about Canelo not giving him crying about people not giving him an opportunity to prove himself. So, you know, it's just unfortunate that when he turns around 35 that he finally, you know, 34, 35, he finally starts getting these fights. You know, and that's unfortunate from a lot of angles, you know. I wish he would have started his career a little earlier, you know, because he could have, you know, maybe he would have taken the Ward fight, you know, but clearly when they asked him, he just said he wasn't ready for something like that. And, you know,
That's not true. He never said he wasn't ready.
He said it was
Nopal.
too much for him.
He's never said that. There was never even we don't even know the negotiation. There was even, how do you know that Ward didn't send him or Golovkin team sent? You don't know. We don't know anything. We just saw people just wanting to fight. Ward just called him out, but that doesn't. I mean, he was at
when they asked
160,
him,
168.
There's an interview out there where they asked Golovkin, "Hey, what about Andre Ward? Would you take a fight like that?" "Oh no, he's too much for me right now." I don't know if that was like a translation from him not knowing how to speak English, but that's what he said. Maybe he meant he wasn't interested in nothing like that, or maybe he meant that, you know what, my opinion too is that he let a lot of people do stuff for him at the beginning. You know, he trusted everybody to pick his fights and all that. And, you know, there wasn't too much pressure on him really. Like if was criticizing Triple G, Abel Sanchez would step in there and
As he should.
take care
As
of
he should,
that.
because he don't speak English. As you should, he don't speak English that well.
But what I'm saying is that kind of put Triple G in a bubble of like a kind of like how can I say it, a comfort that gave Triple G a comfort level where in reality they didn't have no, you know what I mean, like the Ward fight would have definitely been outside of his comfort because he was saying he was a small middleweight, which was completely false. He was the average size middleweight in my opinion, but he was saying that he could still make 154. So you know what, man, I don't even want to go there and you know.
I agree with you. It's unfortunate that he didn't get the fight. And looking back, if he didn't get the fights, but that's because he was destroying everyone and sending people to hell like one or two rounds, knocking everyone.
But those were easy fights, bro. Those guys were all sorry.
Hitting people. No, they were all right. They weren't their level of Canelo or Triple G.
Dude,
but
they were like fielding level, bro. They were like what's his name level? What's that guy? That other fight Canelo just had recently against the dude from that Arabian guy.
What's his name?
The guy that he gets hella criticized is mandatory. You know, when he was trying to unify 168.
Yeah, he got knocked on the second round or something.
Yeah, like that's what level those guys that Triple G was fighting was, bro.
I disagree.
You know, you don't. Oh man, all right. Well,
but there were names though. Like you couldn't even name the guy that Canelo fought. I can't even remember. Oh, Yildirim.
Yeah, there you go.
See, look, you couldn't name those guys. The other guys you could they're somewhat of a name. He was just destroying them, and those guys weren't getting destroyed like the way that Triple G did. Like some of them weren't even getting K'd undefeated. And I'm not saying they were A tier or B tier, but I mean that's how Triple G got all these fans. Like that's how that magical run of Triple G was. Like it was. I mean, for the Triple G haters, they weren't, but I mean, it was hella fun watching. That's how you became a fan of Golovkin because he just destroyed everyone. And
Hey man, you know what? I
That
like
is true.
Golovkin
I
too.
used
I
I
don't
used to be a
dislike him,
heavy
man.
fan of
look,
Golovkin.
he didn't get the Jordan. How many boxers have signed the Jordan? Like he didn't get that besides Ward. Like he didn't get that out of nothing. He didn't get Mexican fans like cheering his name and crowds like on. He didn't get that for nothing. There was a reason why he got fans.
Well, that's a whole different subject. I think there are different reasons that certain Mexicans got with Golovkin, man. I think there's just different reasons, man. You know
Was
what
it
I
because
mean?
he was a badass?
Well, and that's part of it. So there's a group like that went with Golovkin because of that. I think there's another group that doesn't necessarily like the hype that Canelo got. Maybe thought that he was a bit of a diva, but if you look at it historically, he actually did quite well for himself by that age. But for some reason, they think he was some kind of diva. You know what I mean?
Did Canelo deserve the hate from dropping his belt to avoid the Golovkin fight? Did Canelo deserve the hate
Well,
for
wasn't
dropping
there
belts?
Nopal? Wasn't there like an initial round of negotiations for that, like that just kind of dropped off very quickly?
Yeah, so if you fast forward to these times right now, we can see that the WBC has gotten so comprehensive on these situations that they put fighters under. If you go back a little bit to Floyd Mayweather, they never put him in that situation to have to share half of the purse with his opponent. Mandatories. They just completely skipped the mandatory situation out of the way, And even because they would have never put Floyd through that situation because, if you look at how people talk about Canelo, oh, well, it's an 80-20 split. It's a 40-40, a 40-60 split. It's this and that, That's a good split for any opponent. Even if Canelo says, I'm going to pay this guy 25% of the whole purse, that's a good split because if you go back to Floyd, he was only paying his opponents like 5% of the entire purse with no pay-per-view. So Canelo historically has been one of the most generous A-sides, to date, because he gives his opponents pretty good money. So
True, I agree with that.
the situation that they put Canelo under was nothing that they would have ever did to Floyd. We all aren't we in agreement that before the Triple G fight, Canelo was already a pay-per-view star? He was selling 300K like nothing. He had already sold a couple million pay-per-view buy fights. I mean, I'm not even sure. I think that Canelo even made more money versus Chavez Jr. than he did versus Golovkin, because with Golovkin, they decided to pay Golovkin 25% of the whole purse. But the whole situation with
he kind of deserved that though, because Triple G was already. This was a fight. We wanted for it. Built the reason why it was so big because they've been asking for like 2 years already.
Yeah, but that doesn't you think it deserves it. That doesn't put Golovkin in a type of position to get 50% of Canelo's purse.
But that
And
wasn't the deal. That wasn't 50-50. It was a mandatory. Golovkin was a mandatory, and Canelo dropped him.
But still doesn't put Golovkin, because by the rules of the WBC back then, if you were the silver belt champion, which Golovkin was via beating that one guy Rubio,
Yeah.
You get 45% of the purse automatically. With they give you a time period to negotiate, and if you don't negotiate, because of course most fighters aren't going to want to share that much with the silver belt guy, then you have the mandatory split's going to be 45%. Well, these guys thought they were in a position to make that much money from Canelo, which I don't think that was fair. And proof of that is that they were offered 10 million flat. We all know that. They didn't take that. And
that's not proof.
Well, I'll tell you what the proof is, that a year and a half later, when the fight eventually did happen, they paid Golovkin 25% as not, they went from having the belt to being just a challenger and paying Golovkin 25%, who Golovkin was the champion by that time. So he could have just gotten paid the 20%, maybe, you know what I mean, in the initial negotiation as the challenger, and he would have been a year and a half younger and took that fight. So don't you think that he should have just took whatever they offered him at the beginning?
Yeah, but we don't know the
I mean,
negotiations.
he waited a year and a half more to make 5% more with the belt. He had the belt this time, whereas he could have took the
Where's this
20%.
Where's this article, or is there any way you can send me a link where it says the silver belt gets 45% of the?
Yeah, I can find it, but I'd have to have
But if
your
that
email
wasn't
or
true,
something.
but
Everybody
no,
knows that right there, bro. That Golovkin was trying to get 45%. So it put these guys in a
I don't know
position.
that. I don't know that. None of us really know that, honestly.
Most people know that, bro, because the whole even right now the Whyte situation, like they dropped it. The WBC just adjusted their rules now. Now it's like 70-30, bro.
All right, what's happening? Who's this?
Yo, it's Jimmy. You guys good?
Hey, Jimmy, I've heard you on streams, man. Welcome, brother. So have you heard us talking? What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, you guys are just talking about Triple G and Canelo. I feel like with Triple G, man, I feel like at this point, man, he's just sitting out waiting for the third Canelo fight. And ever since I've been following Triple G, that's all he's ever done. Kind of just fought bombs and waited for a Canelo payday. Like, for all the hype he gets, like, when's he actually going to step up and start fighting some real dogs? Like, on the zone, you've got, like, fucking Demetrius Andrade, who was a champion there for about 3 years, never fought him. He had Munguia there, never fought him. I mean, what's he doing?
Dude, he's been chilling, man. I guess it's just the retired life right now, dude. You're right, man. He hasn't done anything for a little while, brother. I mean, and it's a good point, man. And as far as like a potential third fight, like how do you think that would end up?
Oh man, I really want to see it though because I feel like I know what's going to happen, and there's a lot of annoying Golovkin fans online, and I hope they get what they want.
Dude, I
Yeah,
know,
it'll be a good
sometimes
fight,
people
man.
don't know what they're asking for. I feel like it's the same with like Charlo fans, Triple G fans. The only fans that I think are fake are like, well, the ones who want the Benavidez fight. I think sometimes they put Benavidez there because they don't want their own fighter to fight Canelo. So I think they're a little bit confused, right? But like when Charlo fans are like, oh, we want the Canelo fight, like, nah, you don't. And I think the remaining Triple G fans, like, do you really want to see this guy get put down with finality? I mean, I kind of want to see
Yes.
Triple G. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see the guy get put out of his misery and just have it be like a final thing. You know what I mean? But I understand how angry the Triple G fans are. Like, they're really pissed off. They think the first fight was a robbery. They think the second fight was a robbery. And hell, the fights were close, man. So I'm down to see it. Like, plus, you know what? The casuals would come back for that one. Dude, those were great fights.
I feel like Golovkin, like, because I'm a big Canelo fan, so I might sound a little biased, but I feel like Golovkin kind of disgraced himself in the rematch because for the best part of several months, he was talking about Mexican style and talking about how much of a dog he was and how he wanted to stand there. And as soon as Canelo came forward and wanted the smoke, this guy jumped on his bike behind the jab. So I thought Canelo clearly won the rematch and, moved on to bigger and better things, was fighting champions across multiple divisions, unifying, making history, undisputed at 168, looking to become a 5-division champion, fighting undefeated guys. And you got Golovkin just sitting there doing nothing.
Totally. Let me ask you, who did you have winning the Triple G versus Varianchenko fight?
I thought it was a close fight. I mean, it's been a really long time, but I know a lot of fans thought Derevchenko edged it. It's been a long time, though. I thought it was competitive, though. I don't think he looked that good in there. How'd you have it?
I have it about the same as you, man. Like I thought that Triple G didn't look the best. I think he could have edged it out. I think it was close either way. But yeah, dude, looked like he was off that night, But it's like, man, he just fights so far and few between. But that was one of his most recent fights. But I feel like it's been a couple of years at least already.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
I feel like a lot of the people that give Golovkin an excuse that he's 40, guys like Klitschko, Pacquiao, Hopkins, they were all a lot older than Golovkin. They were still fighting young champions and challenging themselves. And the guys that criticize Canelo, they don't ever hold any other fighter to the standard. Like a Jamal Charlo, who's out here looking like garbage against, journeymans like Montiel, Korobov, or Benavidez, that's done less than nothing in his career. Keeps being given a belt, but keeps finding a way to lose it, whether it's cocaine or a bag of jelly donuts. I feel like at this point, Canelo can do. I feel like at this point, Canelo can do no right or do no wrong. If he fights Dimitri Bivol, I think that's probably a more difficult style. He's got a good jab, quick feet, good ring IQ, a more difficult puzzle than Jamal Charlo. He'll get criticized for that. If he fights Charlo, they'll say that's a cherry pick. If he fights Butayev, they'll say, oh, he's fucking, 100 years old. If he fights Golovkin, they'll say Golovkin's done. So I feel like at this point, I think Canelo can do no right or do no wrong, depending on how you look at it.
Oh yeah, dude. And here's the thing, man. Like, you're absolutely right. He went on to do bigger and better things after the Triple G fight. Like, you can break Canelo's career into different sections, and since then, dude, he's gone on to fight not many, but a handful of undefeated defending champions. He went undisputed, which, according to some people, is the greatest thing of all time. Like, he did what he was supposed to do, and people are still ready to criticize his next fight, even though he's also more active than a lot of these dudes, man. Like, you're right. I mean, it's so inconsistent. Like, and the thing is, like, these people that are haters, like, they don't even care about being consistent anymore. Like, they even know themselves that they're not being consistent. It's just hate, dude. Like, and I don't really know where it comes from. Like, dude, if you ask me, dude, like, Canelo should have been given full credit for like fighting the Smiths and the Billy Joe Saunders of the world. Like, those guys were the defending champions, like the undefeated defending champions. Like, what else do you want him to do? You know what I mean?
He gets the credit. He gets credit. He's the number one. He's the pound for pound king.
Well, not by everybody, but you're right. You know what? You're right. 92 AKA. Like, we need to stop paying attention to what those people have to say because they're not really qualified. It's just like, well, I don't know about. You could tell it's Jimmy, right? Is that right?
Yeah, mate, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Jimbo.
Jimbo. I have this theory, right, that like for some reason it's like an American thing for us to like watch people where we don't like their opinion. I call it like hate watching, where we listen to somebody just to get riled up about it. But I feel like the British fans don't do that so much. Or are you listening in and getting pissed off at people who are biased? Like, what's your take on that in general?
To be honest, I feel like, generally speaking, I feel like British people are probably a bit more positive towards boxing than Americans.
Totally.
Because online, especially, a lot of the American boxing community is very toxic. Because I didn't know it was that bad. There's a lot of like extreme propaganda, like narratives and biases, and it's actually crazy, man.
No, I'll tell you, like, I like going to British channels because they, they're just polite. They appreciate both sides. And like, I appreciate British fighters. Like, well, I like the talent from wherever it comes. And if you're a reigning defending champion of a division, well, that means you're one of the best of the division, period. It doesn't matter where you're from, So I have a lot of respect from wherever the talent comes from. Yeah. And there's just like I agree with you, man. Like over here, like, I think there's a lot of toxicity, man. And it's like, I've been trying my best to wean myself, Jimbo. I'm telling you, but dude, for some reason, it's just like an American thing. It's like, I don't know if it stems from us liking shit like Jerry Springer or just liking the big drama show, but it's not healthy for us to listen, man, because, these people are never going to change their minds. They have their following, but for some reason they get a lot of hate watchers who go in there and just like me, I go in there and I just get pissed off. And then I got something to say about what they're saying.
I'll tell you what it is, Chicano. It's, I don't want peace. I want problems always. You ever heard that? No.
Oh yeah. And so let me ask you, Jimbo, like, what do you want from Canelo right now? Like, what would be your preference?
My preference? I mean, there's a lot of good fights out there for him. It depends where he signs. If he goes to the zone, I'm cool with the Bivol and Triple G fight. If he goes to PBC, a lot of fans want the Charlo and Benavidez fights. I think if I could ideally pick two fights for him, me personally, I'd probably want him to fight like Artur Beterbiev and Demetrius Andrade. I feel like those are the guys that would probably give him the toughest, even though I'd favor him in both fights. I feel like those are probably the toughest puzzles because at 160, I feel like Andrade would give him a much tougher fight than Charlo, who's a lot more robotic and basic, compared to Andrade, who's a little bit more slick and versatile. And I think the Beterbiev fight, I mean, that's probably the biggest fight in world boxing, isn't it? You've got this sort of unstoppable monster versus the pound for pound king. A third Golovkin fight, I'm cool with that. The first two had a lot of action in it. I'll be honest, if Canelo even fought like Makabu, I'd be okay with it because I feel like the other guys would be forced to fight each other instead of just standing in a single file line waiting for a Canelo retirement package.
Damn. So you think stylistically, you think Benavidez would be an easier touch for Canelo?
Oh God, yeah, he would. I mean, this flat-footed, come forward, aggressive volume guy. I mean, Canelo used to get criticized for fighting those styles. I feel like just his style is tailor-made. He doesn't really have the experience or the ring IQ to deal with Canelo.
Or the defense.
Or the defense. This is a guy that was getting lit up and dropped and struggling with guys like Ronald Graville. I mean,
right.
That's someone that a lot of Americans would call like a Eurobomb, right?
Not me, but I know what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
You're wrong.
journeyman. And like, yeah, I think he'd destroy Benavidez. I think Charlo as well. Basic, robotic, slow. Um, yeah, man. But I'm cool with whatever Canelo does really, because I feel like everyone else is doing so little that everything Canelo does. It's like when he fought Billy Joe. Billy Joe was an undefeated two-division champion, slick Olympian southpaw, had a good resume. At 160, he probably had a better resume than Charlo. He fought David Lemieux, he fought Andy Lee, he fought Eubank Jr., he fought John Ryder.
Right.
And I think style-wise, he was tougher than Charlo as well. A slick Olympic southpaw.
Oh yeah.
You could tell that, Charlo fought Korobov, and Korobov was completely done at that point. He really struggled. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with the Bivol fight. So if he fight Bivol, if he fights, Golovkin, if he fights Charlo, I would like to see the Charlo fight, but it's like you said, there's a lot of Charlo, like, kind of like fanboys out there. And again, I know what's going to happen, so I hope they get what they want. Yeah, I mean, what about yourself? I mean, what kind of selection would you have for Canelo?
Well, dude, I agree with a lot of the stuff as far as like the stylistic matchups you discuss, and as far as like Canelo winning just in different ways, But to me, I think that the toughest fight for him could be Bivol, but also maybe not. Like I could see it like surprisingly being easy for Canelo in a way if it's not the same Bivol. So people are saying that Bivol hasn't looked that great in the last couple fights, and I agree. But if you look at the Bivol that fought perhaps like Joe Smith, like if he can kind of get to form and he's pretty good at like throwing like a long counter, like if he can kind of like do like that back foot looping counter shots that he does, like I think Canelo might have a little bit of trouble with that. But if he's stationary at all, could be big trouble. I think Better Beef, people act like it takes a while for him to get going. And I see what they're saying when they say that, but I also think he's dangerous and he throws with mean intentions early too. Like, I think that would be a big, tough fight. I think that would probably be the toughest fight. And Jimbo, like, there's a lot of people I respect who think Andrade would give Canelo problems. But I honestly think that's like one of the easiest fights in my opinion. This is just where I'm coming from. Like when I look at the stylistic matchup, like I think that Andrade looks good for like the first 4 rounds. And I just don't think that his age and his stamina currently can keep up with the pace that he wants to keep up. Kind of like De La Hoya when he was later on in his career. And I think he's just going to be food for Canelo at that point. Like, I think if he wanted an easy touch, that would be the one. But, I don't think –
I'd pick Canelo to knock out Demetrius Andrade. But my only thing is I don't think he's as kind of robotic or as basic as Jamal Charlo. So a lot of people were hyping up Charlo as the guy from 160. I always thought Andrade had a bit more of a – just more complicated. I'd still favor Canelo to destroy both of them. But I think out of the two, I think Andrade would present maybe just a little bit more of a complicated puzzle.
Interesting, man. Nopal, what do you think, man?
You know what? I kind of like that fight too with Andrade because, it would kind of put the haters to rest a little bit. But the fight that I really like is the Better BF fight. I think that for me, and I've been thinking about this for a while, I think he should just fight Better BF and retire, man. To be honest, call it a day. I think that his legacy would be complete with that fight, and that's it. But I think the Andrade fight sounds good too. That would kind of like show people that he can beat those kind of fighters. Because of course they've been saying there's no way he beats Billy Joe because he's a mover. There's no way he beats Caleb Plant because that's another mover. But this time, it'll be somebody else, Andrade, and that should put the hate to rest, and I think that he should retire after those 2 fights, Yeah,
but when he signed the contract to fight Callum Smith, a lot of fans were saying that Caleb Plant was the guy at 168 that Canelo would never fight because he had that slick athletic style, he had the technical boxing style that Canelo struggled against. And when he finally got to Caleb Plant, then a lot of fans moved on to Benavidez. So I feel like it's almost like a never-ending, like, who do we find next for Canelo to, try and beat?
Yeah, great point. If he's not fighting this guy, then he's ducking this guy. But if he decides to fight that guy, then now he's ducking the other guy. And if he fights the other guy, he's ducking all these other guys right here that didn't get their opportunity. So it's like something that go ahead.
Yeah, it's because these guys, there's no clear person that deserves a Canelo fight. So it's like everyone has like their opinion. Everyone thinks like you should fight him because it's like there's no clear answer because none of these guys are fighting each other and they're just all fighting random no names. But I would want like an a la carte option, like where I want triple Charlo, because I think it'd be like the biggest like pay-per-view fight. Like it'd be entertaining, like the press conference and the build-up would be entertaining, like the 24/7 all access. I think that
Yeah.
would be golden.
And
Must
that,
watch TV.
92, you're so right about that because, as hardcore fans, we forget about how fun it is to just sit back and enjoy all the buildup and to, get into, the whole thing and how this guy is mad at this guy and then they push each other and, like all the hype that leads to the fights is like we've forgotten how to enjoy these moments, man, because we're so hardcore and anal about all this stuff that we're like, oh no, that was fake. Oh no, that was staged.
No.
You know what I mean? Sit back and enjoy it, right?
Yeah, no, that's like the best. That's to me, the buildup has always been the best. I think it's been arguably better than the fights. Like the buildup, that's just like the Canelo versus Plant, like that slap. I've seen like so many videos of that thing, and man, that's just been entertaining.
Yeah, dude, people were breaking it down, dude, and just like the way people were framing it, like you could tell which people were like Canelo haters. I saw somebody be like, "Oh, Plant, slapped the dog dookie out of Canelo." I'm like, "Is that the way you saw it, man?" Like, all right then.
I mean, don't get me wrong, the fight was really good, but come on, you guys weren't hyped when you guys saw that slap and the push and like that all builds up. That's all like to me, I love that part when the fighters hate each other or they talk shit.
When I was a kid, dude, I used to like the promos for wrestling more than the actual wrestling. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you know what? Going back 92, it's too bad that that type of bad blood happened so late with Canelo. If you remember the second fight, Canelo goes up there and pushes Triple G. He could have did that from the beginning, and this fight would have probably sold 2 million pay-per-views. You know what I mean? So I think Canelo discovered that late in his career.
He did discover. He's always been boring. He's been a boring interview. There's nothing. His most memorable thing was "I was born ready." That was like for like 10 years, until he got kind of away from Oscar and he let him like promote himself and he speak more English, and man, he's been he gets hella views now on all his interviews, and like that thing where he went, like they go to his San Diego ranch and where he's like they get hella like millions of views, like because he's like talking English and he's like more, you can see like he's happier now. Like when he was with Oscar, it was just like he was like all business and just all like perfect. Well, I mean, that's all right, but it's not going to get. It's kind of boring, like, to be honest. But this Canelo, where you kind of see more of his personality, and
it's like he's out of his shell now, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Dude, yeah, like when he was piping off against Andrade, yeah, dude, even the BBC cult was having a good time with that one. You know what I'm saying? It was just funny to watch that exchange and like, wow, I've never really heard Canelo speak English before, and now he's sitting there just mouthing off, talking about how
fuck out of here.
Yeah, use my payday. I'm gonna fuck you up, motherfucker.
Payday. You want payday?
I remember when people were saying like, oh man, I bet you when this fool decides to speak English, he's gonna have like a British accent. That's crazy.
Yeah.
People used to say stuff like that, and it was hella funny. And
see, that's why when people say like Terrence Crawford, like they criticize, oh, like just let him be himself. Like, yeah, it's true. Like, it kind of if it's fake, if it's fake, it's noticeable and it's not. People know it's fake, but like you gotta like come out a little bit and promote yourself. Like people were like, I always thought Canelo was hella boring, like his interviews, but this is what I wanted. Like now he's a bigger star, and now he's getting now he's the king of the sport, and he's getting all this recognition and all the fight, even the guys that like the buy like the Charlos and Tank Davis, they all come to the fights because they know this guy's like the once in a fighter generation, the fighter of this generation. Like people are showing his respect to him.
Well, that's the thing. He is the greatest fighter of his generation. And it's like Team Batman Boxing says right here. It says his legacy was secured 10 fights ago, 10 champions later. Here we are. And I'll say this, dude, like out of the landscape, man, I think if he fights any one of these guys, like unless they go on to continue to do good things, like any of these wins wouldn't even end up being like a top 5 win for Canelo. When you look back historically, like the guy's got a lot of good wins, and it's like Charlo, like where would I rank that? I mean, I don't know. I'd probably still rank it below like a Danny Jacobs win, in my opinion. Like just because he's got that. I mean, like, dude, the guy, he's fought twice in 2 years. He fought. I know for sure he fought once last year against Montiel. Munguia's leftovers, survived it. And it's like, and that's the other thing too. 92 AKU. I agree with you. Like that would be the most satisfying thing. But here's what they're doing. The PBC cult is doing this. They're saying Well, and D-Style mentioned this, and I've heard it in other places as well. This is what they're saying. They're trying to say this. They say, okay, well, we're not going to give Canelo credit for that win because Charlo doesn't look the greatest. But if he doesn't take the fight, he's ducking, right? It's like, they're already like hedging it. So
They
like,
don't.
no matter
They
what,
don't want. Let's be honest. They don't want the Canelo fight. They say they do, but they don't want it because they know that's their whole shtick is to say Canelo ducks Charlo. They've been doing that for years.
Totally, they're fronting, man. They
And then I
secretly don't
remember-
want the fight, and that's the reason why a lot of them want the Benavidez fight first because they're also a little nervous because they know it's going to happen. Like, here's my thing. Like, being a big fan of Canelo's aside, bro. Like, I think that they know that we're not worried about that fight because I'm personally not. If they know boxing at all and they watch the Montiel fight at all, watch Canelo's recent fights, do you think that they're going to think, oh yeah, Jamal's got this? Hell no.
Hell no.
I mean, like, there's no way, bro. Like,
If you got
they know what's going to happen.
two aliens from outer space, and you put the last 3 fights of Canelo and the last 3 fights of Charlo, they're gonna be like, this guy has no shot, no chance.
That's what I'm
You know what I
saying,
mean?
man. It's just like
And,
they're gonna say, like, what's this guy? How old is he? And like,
Because
he's
you
a hype
remember,
dude.
do you remember when they made Charlo the mandatory for Triple G? They were upset and they were whining about Canelo and Triple G ducking Charlo for years, and then WC finally made it mandatory, and they were mad. They're like, "This is ridiculous! Like, he doesn't have to be the man." They got upset. They were mad about it. I remember.
Well,
I think Triple G would have whooped Charlo for sure, and that goes back to what you're saying, 92. That they're scared for him to get that fight, and they kind of know that Charlo was just playing his role because he was in a safe position where Al Heyman wasn't even going to let him fight anyways.
Yeah. That was the shtick. That's their shtick, is to avoid Charlo. Yet when Canelo KOs him, they're gonna jump on the Benavidez because he's like aligned with PBC. But it's all fake, and
I think that everybody knew this whole time. They were just making so much money on super chats, but they know this whole time that Charlo was barking behind a fence, a really secure fence.
Right, dude. And speaking of the shtick and the super chats, Nopal, I think you mentioned this, and I totally agree with it, man. Like, here's the thing, 92 KU. Like, right now, they're capping, and they don't want this fight. But if the fight gets announced, they're gonna start changing their tune, and they're gonna turn up for Charlo. Because that's where the super chats are. They're going to play this thing out. The Colt will play this out, and they're going to back Charlo. And then they're just going to disregard him afterwards, but they're going to use him to rile up their fan base, and it'll be fun in the lead up because I'm just going to be over here relaxed. And I'm ready to take open bets, dude. I'm going to have like an open bet challenge to anybody who wants it up to, I don't know, however, especially if you're willing to give me some even money, we'll have lawyers write that shit up. If you're willing to give me even money on that fight, I'll bet you up to like 10,000, man. And I'm not exaggerating, man. Like, come on, dude. I'm not nervous, bro. Like, even money, come on, man. Like, Canelo's gonna wreck this dude. Like, Jamal Charlo, he's not even seasoned enough. Like, you don't go from fighting once last year, Montiel, to fighting Canelo, who's he's at his peak right now. You're telling me Jamal's gonna go in there and do something? Like, although I do think he has a good skill set, I think that he's got good fundamentals. He's still undefeated. Supposedly, he's been calling for this fight for a while. Like, I still think it's a good win, but I would still mark it like outside of a top 5 win.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be outside. Just he doesn't have the accolades for it to be a top 5.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's kind of a shame. The thing is, I think that Jamal Charlo knows that his handlers have kind of been stalling his career a bit. Like, because it was weird, dude. He went from like somebody who had a lot of hype, because he had different colored hair and he had the glitz and glamour and the clothes.
And he had personality. He's entertaining.
Dude.
In his interviews.
That's the thing, man. He was a big talker, but then I feel like I was one of the first people to come out and say, like, wow, like, well, where did this guy come from? And then I started breaking down his resume. I started telling everybody how you could see how statistically Jamal Charlo's been fighting older fighters than Canelo. Only got started with 12 rounders at 26 years old. When Canelo was fighting 36-year-old Mayweather, this dude was fighting 36-year-old bums and 40-year-old bums with terrible records that you never heard of. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, it's just obvious that this guy has been protected for a long time and they're ready to cash him out. And I think they're kind of desperate. Like, who else could they throw him in with? Like, it's starting to get embarrassing, these potential matchups. And it's like, especially if he can't make that weight anymore, like, there's a chance that like Jamal might have trouble making 160, or he might get clipped, and then it's like all this time that they spent investing in him, it could just go down the drain, or he could cash him out to Canelo. I think it's time. I want to see that fight. You know what I mean?
They have to cash him out because look, you gotta know, like, dude, he's been getting paid millions fighting like no names. They're getting all the money from Showtime, obviously in Fox, but I mean, you're not seeing returns on it. Or do you see returns? Because like now it's gonna cash. Now it's the time because now he has all the popularity to finally cash into the Canelo fight, right?
Well, I'll tell you this, dude. Like I've always said that I think that Canelo versus Jamal Charlo will hit 1 million. So I think they can feel pretty confident about that. Although I think the PBC's broke, man. Like it's not like I talk to business all the time, but I see a lot of things that make me think that wow, these guys it's kind of a Ponzi scheme. I see a lot of things that make me think that, and I sometimes I wonder if like the Charlo's money's even real. Like I sometimes wonder like if these houses that they're living in and all this stuff is really belongs to them because they're not really generating. You know what I
And
mean?
it's a trip too. That makes me think, Chicano, of the situation with the Paul brother. He's saying that he didn't get paid some of his money. Now, I don't know the
Exactly.
exact details of that, but is that a good reason for Canelo not wanting to, or because we don't know the exact details there either, whether he's going to take those fights or not. But maybe Canelo hasn't been paid fully for the Caleb Plant fight. You know what I mean? Maybe his pay-per-view money's taking hella long to come through too. So,
No,
that.
I don't think so because Canelo he's already fought without him, and I mean not fought, but he's fought fighters without him. Like Amir Khan was one of them, and then he just did it again with
Yeah, but this time it was
wasn't
different,
Danny
right?
Jacobs? Danny
Because
Jacobs
last
was
time it was
him.
on his own platform with under Golden Boy, So this one fight was different because he fought on Al Heyman's platform. So the situation's a little different. What I'm saying is just specifically this fight alone, we don't know if he's been paid fully for the pay-per-views and all that. Just the same as the Paul brothers situation. He's complaining that he didn't get paid and he's going to take Floyd Mayweather to court. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's all, speculation from my part. So,
Well, and on top of that, you see all these shitty pay-per-views that they're feeding us. Like, it's offensive, man. Like, it's offensive that they're even getting us used to these type of pay-per-views, man. Like, I mean,
I haven't paid for one.
no, I haven't paid for
yeah,
one either, dude.
you got to find an alternate way to watch these fights, because, for example, for a guy like Ellerby to just flat out tell us in his face that, they're not going to, take no risks or nothing like that. They're just going to fight guys under that banner and they don't care what the fans think. They're just trying to make pay-per-view money. Like, dude, Tank Davis isn't in that position, to be a pay-per-view star. You guys are building some WWE creation over here. So, of course, I encourage people to find alternate ways to watch these fights that aren't worth it, Of course, support the good pay-per-views, from the guys that have a good legacy and all that, or legacy fighters that take these risks. Yes, go ahead and support those. But for all these other fights, we got to
That's
send a clear message to these
that's why I believe that they are getting this money, that the Charles they're making this money because they're overpriced. They're overpriced, and they have no more money to be spending, so they gotta just pay-per-view everything. Now you're getting pay-per-view Andy Ruiz versus what's his name? Areola, because like the networks aren't giving the money they're not what these fighters make, what they're used to making. The networks are not going to pay because they don't bring that back in. So they might as well put on pay-per-view and just let the boxing fans pay for their purses.
Yeah, dude, here, check this out. So 6 fights ago, Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo Alvarez. So he's saying that he's still getting paid from like the Canelo fight. I don't know about that one. You know what I mean?
Maybe from like
oh
networks.
man,
What like Oscar's still paying him off? I doubt it, dude. I don't know about that one.
you know what? I distinctly remember Floyd showing off that check right away. So I think that they paid him in advance because they gave him like $100 million for that, and Canelo only made like $3 million, from that fight. And
No, I don't think Canelo made $3 million.
You think he made more?
Hell yeah.
That was back then, man. I was telling you, Floyd was freaking ganking fools.
He didn't pay no
he was
25%.
man.
Yeah, dude. People want like people like Plant like 25%, like a 75-25 split, but it's like Floyd wasn't paying that at all, dude. Not even close, dude.
I think if Floyd was generous, he gave Canelo $5 million, bro. $5 million, and he got cashed out $100 million for that fight right away. Because I saw the check. He posted it online.
Yeah, but yeah, remember there's network deals with Mexico, and there's sponsors, and then there's pay-per-views. Maybe that was just a purse. That was just the
that
appearance of the
that
Nevada.
network deals that Canelo has, it's like I remember Triple G put that out there one time. He's like, we let him get all his Mexican money. Well, come on, dude. You want to dip into his sponsors and all that? Like, you don't get that right. If a fighter has his own sponsors, he has a deal with Coca-Cola. I mean, that would be mighty weird of you to try to dip into that money just because you're fighting the guy.
No, I don't think Canelo made $3 million because then there's pay-per-view and didn't that fight make like 2 million, like 2 million pay-per-views?
I
Yeah,
think so.
it
Yeah,
was
dude. It
pretty
was one of the top 5, I think.
Yeah,
It
so
was
many.
it broke the
pay-per-views.
record. I guess the record was held by Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather. And
So
then
that means Canelo got like $1 for every million. Like, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
I don't think that. I think it was flat money. What I'm saying is it was flat money. They didn't necessarily care about the money. They just wanted the fight. I think they actually thought they were pretty delusional back then. They actually thought that they had a chance against Floyd Mayweather, but
Yeah.
it still speaks for how far he's come along in his skills, you know?
Yeah, but Canelo didn't get 3. He had to get like 20 because of the pay-per-view numbers. Like, if there's 2 million and 2 million, you said he got 3 million. It's almost like he got $1 for every pay-per-view buy.
Well, dude, you know what? I should go back and try to see. Does anybody remember like Canelo versus Trout, like what the pay-per-view numbers were for that?
I don't even know if it was on pay-per-view, was it?
I think so. I think wasn't
here.
that?
I think at least 300K because I don't think Canelo ever went under 300,000. He might have went to like 250.
What's Canelo's? Hey, what's a trivia question? What's Canelo's first pay-per-view? Was it El Perro?
No, it was Floyd. Floyd, right?
Floyd was his first pay-per-view?
No,
Yeah.
I think he fought Trout. Well, it went Trout, right? Are you talking about where he's the headliner? That's what you're talking about, right? 92K.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Where he's
I think it was Trout. I'll double check, but Canelo versus let me see here. Or maybe not. Let me see here. I'm looking into it. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I guess my point is that Canelo really wasn't like an established pay-per-view star, though he was a huge name. And you know what? To Mayweather's credit, dude, like Mayweather did help build Canelo. Like, I remember the first time I saw him was on the Mosley versus Mayweather fight. It was on that undercard. And if you go back and watch him, like, you could tell the guy's not a star at all. They're like, oh, this young man, Saul Alvarez, like, even though
he headlined that fight, didn't he? That was his first headline, no? Mosley versus Canelo. I'm not sure if that was on pay-per-view.
No, that was on the undercard to Mayweather versus
undercard.
Cotto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, see, that's the thing. Like, although it was a big fight anyways, because I mean, Canelo was gaining steam, man. He was fighting on regular HBO for a little while and doing good numbers by himself. Like, he was also on the he also sold out against I don't know if it was a sellout, but he fought at Staples against Alfonso Gomez, but it was technically an undercard fight of a Mayweather pay-per-view, I think, too.
Oh, the rapper, huh?
Yeah. Looks like Philly Irish is in the house. He's got something to say. Philly, if you want to jump on, man, you can, bro. I'm going to drop this link if you want to. We did talk about this earlier, you know what I mean? So if you want to rant, dude, you missed it. There was this other Jimbo, this British guy came on, and he agrees with you that Andrade would somehow give Canelo the most problems, and I try to tell him that there's people that I respect like you, Drew Evo, that think that same thing. I personally don't see it, but we did have a chance to talk about it, and we all look at Philly Irish. He's cooking, man. This guy's trying to A-side us. Well, he would be a big get when we get Philly Irish Drew Evo here. But hey, man,
Philly, you better bring the energy, man. That's all I gotta say, brother.
I'm looking at Showtime's boxing. They only have one fight scheduled, and it's Colbert versus Garcia.
What's his name? Little B-Hop, huh?
Yeah. So I mean, what's up with this box? What's up with the PBC boxing? There's like, we got I don't even know what fights they have.
Dude, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see things play out, man. Like, I'm hoping that like once Canelo announces who he's going to fight, that everything else just kind of falls in line through the summer. Like, and I know that he might tie up potentially 160 to 168, maybe 175. But I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'd love to see who Crawford's going to fight next. Like, dude, the guy's going to be 35 in September, and I'm just like, dude, let's see some of these fights. Like, I want to see people get busy. I want to see a lot of fights too. But I mean, hell, dude, like Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez, that's going to be a good one. Like, I'm looking forward to. There's some stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
Some people that I respect are starting to talk me into this idea that Valdez could possibly win. I've heard some good arguments. I got to go actually look at some film on that one. 92 AKU. I don't know if you've given your official stance on this, man. Like, what do you think about that fight?
On Valdez and Shakur.
Yeah.
I think I got Shakur. He's hella good. That last performance was just amazing.
Yeah, dude. I have trouble thinking that Valdez has a chance, but like there's some things, some notes that people have given me, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I got to take a look, and 92 AKU. I don't know if you know this, right? But Nopal, you're looking at a guy who actually picked Valdez over Burchelt. We have one right here. Somebody did it. Nopal, what do you think, man, about this potential fight?
Man, I think Valdez, I want him to win. Don't get me wrong. I want him to win. But it doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good. And I'm hoping that his coach can pull something out of the bag and set the perfect game plan, and that Valdez can follow it, and that, this fight could be close. Of course, if it's close, I think Top Rank is going to give it to Shakur. But that's what I'm hoping for, I'm hoping that Valdez can pull it out, but it's not looking good. I don't think that, I think he's kind of small. So even though what's-his-name's coming up from 130, I believe he's coming up from 130. I just think that Shakur has more in the bag to win,
Well, this fight's at 130, right?
135 in it? Or 130?
130.
130.
Oh, okay. Is Shakur coming up from like lower division?
No, he's been there, I think.
Oh,
It's a
been there for a
unification fight.
I still think that Shakur's naturally bigger than Valdez. I think Valdez has set into his natural weight, his man weight, and yeah. I mean, I'm gonna enjoy this fight for sure. That's for sure.
It's a week before Cinco de Mayo, right? Before the Canelo fight, supposedly.
Yeah, dude. That's one hell of a little
shit.
warm-up, dude. Like, honestly, bro, like, if Canelo fights in Vegas, if I can expense it, I'd love to just stay in Vegas for like the full week and then show up to the Valdez Stevenson, and then boom, go over to the Canelo fight afterwards. But I mean, it would be kind of pricey. I don't know if I could spend a whole week in Vegas though. But I mean, that'd be the week to do it, especially if there's like, it's just like a whole boxing week. There'd probably be a lot of like boxing heads, But I don't know, man. Vegas is a little different now than it used to be when I was younger, dude.
Canelo needs to fight in Mexico already, Mexico City. Just like get one fight over there.
Dude, I think that would be cool for them, man. I think that I think the fans there deserve it, and it's like I could see them maybe not making that much money because the pesos don't go that far, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a poorer country, I guess, but and I understand
who do you guys think the perfect opponent would be for that, Chicano? For
you just your random taxi cab driver would be fine.
No, I want your random taxi driver. Your random Charlo opponent, basically.
Yeah, dude, just whoever, if Canelo goes and fights,
whoever Ubered Canelo to the stadium, he's just fight them right.
Yeah,
hey, wait, ¿quieres pelear?
Dude, I mean, anybody would be fine. Like you could, like any type of like Yildirim or anybody like that level, place would show out for that, and I think it'd be a good way to christen Canelo as kind of like, that torchbearer, although he already is. I mean, Chavez pretty much essentially already did it. You know what I mean? So
Canelo's the star. Canelo's a man. Like, dude, everyone follows him on Twitter. Like Curry's a huge Canelo. You see all the stars that go to Canelo fights, like LeBron and
dude, that's the thing, man. Like, yeah, he's up there with like the elites. I think other athletes and other stars in general, they have respect for Canelo. Like he's kind of in that circle, he's kind of mainstream among the elites, like we were talking 92. Okay, I don't know if you were listening, but we were kind of talking about Logan Paul and Jake Paul's like fame, right? And I was just comparing their fame to other people who are like influencers fame. But Maluma, he's fucking got way more followers than the Paul brothers, and he sits there and he'll walk Canelo into a ring, he'll shout him out on Instagram.
No, you're thinking about J Balvin.
Like as an artist or what?
No, you're saying the reggaeton guy that walked out Canelo.
Oh, was it J Balvin? I don't know why I thought it was Maluma. Well, see, that shows what I know. You know what I mean? Like,
that was a crush. You mean that's the guy you have a crush on? You mean?
Well, I don't know that. I don't like the. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that one.
I think would be a good fight would be that the 175 guy from Top Rank. Is it Ramirez? No, Gilberto Ramirez. You got Mexico, another Mexican fighter.
Hey, I'm down for it. You're talking about.
I don't know if we necessarily need Mexican versus Mexican, bro, in Mexico.
That'll be the perfect spot, I think. Who do you want to play? Some black guy?
No, I mean, you damn racist.
Hey,
Nah,
just some
nah,
nice
bro.
Black guy.
neutral European dude
You
would be
know,
fine.
yeah,
Neutral
Some
is here.
an Easto person, huh? Triple G,
So-
man, when he's like 50, huh? Nah.
Ooh, that'd be a real Mexican style.
50,
Triple G over there.
Yeah.
The real Mexican style.
So it looks like JC clarified. So it looks like it was Balvin. I don't know, man. It looks like you guys are the authorities on these artists, rather than me. I mean, I don't know that. Like, what can I say? I'm not that hip. You know what I mean? Although I do like some of their music.
Oh yeah.
I like
J Balvin's-
Naughty Natasha.
Oh yeah, she's cool. Yeah, I'm a big reggaeton listener.
Becky G, I think she's pretty.
Becky G, you got Carol G.
Yeah, reggaeton's pretty cool, man. I remember one time I was listening to Women Crushing It Wednesday, and some dude in the chat, he put, they were talking about Puerto Rican boxing, and the dude, I think he was trolling Nika. He goes, Puerto Ricans need to stop wasting their time on reggaeton. That's why they're not good at boxing. It was hella funny, bro.
Yeah.
It was hella funny. She blocked that fool hella quick, though.
Hey, 92
reggaeton,
AKU. Do you know who Falanito is? Fulanito?
I think you need
That sounds familiar,
Fanuco.
No.
Faruco?
Fulanito.
Fulanito. Yeah, that's
No.
his name. Oh, it's
I
just
don't
this
know.
weird reggaeton dude. I think he's Dominican. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like, is this what the modern stuff is? Right?
You
But
know
like I
who
said,
the first I think the first reggaeton guy was El General. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that dude. That was back in the day, though.
Hey, but boxing and reggaeton, they have some history because you got a lot of lyrics that bring in the Puerto Rican fighters like Tito Trinidad. He's in like multiple songs, like just a bar, a line about Tito Trinidad. Reggaeton's big in Puerto Rico and boxing is big too. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Kodo.
yeah, true.
oh yeah. So Nopal, man. Do you have any other final thoughts that you want to talk about and get off your chest before we wrap this thing up? Same goes with you, 92 AKU.
Dude, I guess real quick we could briefly talk about Fury. He's I guess that he's freaking he's going off the walls, man, trying to get Dillian Whyte to sign, for the fight, and I think that Dillian Whyte's just kind of stringing him on. I mean, he's just kind of waiting till the last minute, see if they give him some money. Of course, Fury's talking all kinds of other stuff in the process. But it is kind of making me wonder if this fight's gonna happen. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I didn't really understand the whole. I remember I was watching the show yesterday. They're talking about split and mandatory and purse bids and all that. I wasn't really paying attention, but
So 92. This is the whole situation. I think like I said, the mandatory gets a 45%. So in this situation, they changed the rule a little bit, and I don't know if they changed it going forward, but now they changed the situation and told Dillian Whyte because of his previous purses, he's
Mhm.
not on a monetary level with Tyson Fury. So they said, hey, we're gonna give you. I'm not sure if it was 25% or
it
something,
was
or
80-20 the
30.
split. 80-20 split.
80-20, see? So they
Yeah.
lowered the split big time, which they should have did the same thing probably with Triple G, in my opinion. We could have had that fight earlier, you know what I mean? There would be nobody complaining that Triple G was too old. But I think that was the most appropriate thing they could do, because you can't really expect a guy like Fury, who's been in multiple pay-per-view fights and all this, worked his way up, to this type of level, to just let a bum like Dillian Whyte take all that money from him. You know what I mean? It's too much to expect from Fury. So I think 80-20 was pretty good, So I think they bid like 40 million. So 80-20 would be what, like $8 million from 40 million? And what's his name would get about 32. My math is a little off, probably.
Yeah, I
So
just
you'd
remember
have
it was like 6 million, like what they reported at Whyte wasn't again like 32 million for Fury.
Oh, okay.
Pretty
So
good.
Whyte Whyte was going to get what, like 8 million or 6
6.
million?
6,
Oh,
yeah.
and then Tyson Fury gets the other 34.
Yeah, 34, 32.
So I think that was kind of appropriate. This kind of gives you an idea of when it's put like this on you, it's like it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of shows you how bad does Dillian Whyte really want this fight. Was it all about the money to begin with? Because a lot of us don't even think he can win that fight. So if it's just all about the money, then, you know, that kind of takes the fun out of the fight for a lot of the fans, you know? We're like, well, you know, if he's willing to take the 6 and go in there, he's going to really try, you know? Because I know that if he beats Tyson Fury, then of course he's going to get paid more in the rematch, right?
Yeah, not just that, you just become a star.
Exactly.
I never understood. I always, when, you know, you talk about boxing people and they say it's rigged. I never believed that the fighters take dives or anything, because the underdogs would always you become a star and you become more paydays when you get signed to we can get like network deals. Like, you become a star when you beat the favorite. Like look at Kambosos, for example. He's supposed to just lose, and we're supposed to build up to Teal versus whoever, Tank or Loma.
Do you
But
think
now
that do you think that judges can be influenced brag
Yeah.
wise?
maybe judges. Yeah.
Drew Evo is in the house. Drew, what's happening, brother?
Nothing much. I think I'm gonna be a big asshole right now.
Dude, you know what? That's what we want, bro.
Bring the energy, brother.
Yes, dude, that's what we want. Go ahead, Drew. Cook.
No, seriously, these guys are fucking complaining about these fans, especially UK fans, complaining about Dillian Whyte not getting a split, like a 45% split. Like, they're fucking making money off this fight. Like, they're getting money out of this split. Like, come on, cry me a fucking river. Shut the fuck up and move on.
They're getting
Like,
overpaid for this fight, arguably.
Like,
Yeah.
like seriously, if you look at it like this, he's lucky he didn't move down the rankings after getting knocked out cold by Povetkin. A fight he should have won easily. Like, seriously.
Yeah, and you know what, Drew? White's been saying the whole time that he could knock out Fury hella easy. So now that they're only going to pay you $6 million, all of a sudden you don't want to knock out. It's not that easy to knock out Fury anymore. Like, come on, bro. You've been barking behind a real secure fence the whole time. Is what this is looking like.
Like, it's like this. If you really confident you can knock this guy out, take the $6 million plus part of the pay-per-view revenue, beat him, and then go to Undisputed and get a bigger fucking push. It's that fucking simple.
I don't really care. I'm not like, you know, don't really care if this fight doesn't happen. I want Fury to fight Ruiz or
Usyk, right?
yeah, but it looks like, I don't know. Yeah, that too. But if he can't get Usyk or AJ, I think I want him to fight Ortiz or Andy Ruiz.
And you know what they're saying? That he doesn't want to fight Usyk, Philly. They're saying that he doesn't want to fight Usyk. And you know what? On Boxing Scene, they're trying to say that. They're saying that Fury's saying that next year he was planning to fight. He's planning to fight Ngannou, you know, and that he's gonna break all pay-per-view numbers, you know. But I didn't hear anything about him trying to go Undisputed versus Usyk. You know, how come he doesn't talk about that?
Probably because the fucking shit that's going on with the fucking AJ shit is being held up. You don't even know when the fuck that fight's gonna be, because AJ is like being the Bachelor on the Bachelorette trying to find himself a new trainer now.
Oh yeah, you're right, man.
Drew, you got to find me
think
these
about that.
you got to find me these British Facebook groups that just don't want to hear like what you have to say.
Oh, they just removed my post because I said they fucking crying about it because like they're getting paid and everything. They said, "Oh, we removed you because you swearing too much." Motherfucker, I swear in every other fucking group and everything, man. You can't fucking tell them. You can't remove my post because I swear. As long as it doesn't have nothing with race or fucking sexual orientation comments, I can fucking say what the fuck I want.
British dudes like to be proper. You know what I mean?
Oh, they call me fucking dark sticky syrup on there.
What does that mean, bro? Like
The British
term.
term, the British term for it. I looked it up. I was like, seriously, dude, you called me dark sticky syrup? Are you fucking kidding me? Out of all
You
the
know
things
what
you
I
could
heard
call
them
me,
call somebody, Philly? I heard them
what?
call somebody belt, and I think that means dickhead or something like that, huh?
I don't know. I don't want to. Hey, you know what? We can't really say anything because people are gonna say I'm hating on Europeans because I'm not and everything. But don't.
You're
I'm
right, man. You better calm down, bro, because Jimbo's gonna come back in here and regulate.
Oh, man, now we gotta have Warren G in here.
I hear some background music. Who's that 19? Okay, you starting to listen to music or what?
No, it's not me.
Ain't
My
me
boy
either.
listening to the blues, man.
Oh man, well, that's some
Hey,
dude. Okay, so Drew, what are you gonna do, man? Like when I want to know, bro. When Fury fights Usyk, who are you rooting for, and who do you think will win? And if you don't know 92 AKU, you've tuned into the shoe shine. I think that Drew Evo, it's coming. One day he's gonna have to deal with the fact that this fight might go down, and there's gonna be some serious conflict internally with Drew. I think. Drew, let us know what you think.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's gonna be. When I first thought about this fight happening, I thought that this would be a boring fight because of styles and everything between the two, because they're both type of the boxers at the first and foremost. But if you gotta look at it and you gotta see who has the advantage, it's Fury because of his height. The bigger, taller guy can use his reach against Usyk and everything. Uses smart boxing, work the jab, keep Usyk at range, to not be able to work and everything because Usyk has to get in range to work against taller guys. He's able to do it because of his footwork, but Usyk's footwork is going to be the biggest test to his footwork against a bigger guy that can actually box. So I will go with Fury by decision over Usyk. I don't think he knocks Usyk out because I think Usyk can take a punch real well. So Usyk, in
Okay,
order for him to win, he has to get inside.
so you have Fury beating Usyk, and then you also have Fury ranked number one at heavyweight, but you have Usyk number one pound for pound. Is that right?
I actually have Usyk and Fury tied for number one at heavyweight,
Gotcha.
and Usyk
Okay.
number one pound for pound because I tell you the truth, Usyk is on the beats every top guy on that he fought in their home city, in their home country. He's always on the road beating these guys and everything, and that's something that people fail to mention a lot when it comes to Usyk. Is this guy doesn't care if he goes to your hometown and fight you, he's still gonna find a way to beat you.
Yeah, that's true, but he also doesn't have a choice, Philly. So he doesn't got much of a choice. I mean, he doesn't have that much of a audience, and he's got to go wherever the other guy tells him to go.
But
Till
here's the thing: he's a champion now. He can make the fight in Ukraine if he wants to make AJ come to Ukraine and fight him.
yeah, in a couple fights, he's gonna have all the power that he deserves. He's gonna have all the backing that he deserves. But as of right now, he's still at AJ's mercy, just like Andy was. Andy Reese, he had to do whatever AJ told him to do, even in the rematch.
So
Well,
Drew, you got the shoe shine coming on tonight, yeah?
as of right now, yes, we do.
Nice, man. You know the topics, or you just kind of plop in that chair and then just start cooking off the top of your head?
Well, I didn't get together with Dave yet to discuss anything, so it's all discuss what's going on and everything. We're probably gonna talk about the Brook fight and everything. I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna say something about this right now. Khan
Bring it.
should have retired a couple fights ago. Seriously, I really thought Amir Khan was out of it a couple fights ago. I just Khan, he just had too many issues still, and he hasn't really corrected his issues. And like with Brook now has a lot of different options now since winning this fight. You got Eubanks calling him out now. Eubanks is calling little guys out now. Damn, I wouldn't be surprised if he calls out Tank yet next.
He's
To be honest with you, man.
Okay,
gonna
and so
But
call
you
Terrence
you said
Crawford
you
out.
and you
I
said that you
didn't
wanted to mention something about Brook and Eubank, right? I mean, that's on your mind too, right?
here's the thing. They say, oh, you came up to 160 to fight Triple G and everything. How about you come up? Only way this happens if you come up to 160, you get a bigger payday and a bigger beating. But at the end of the day, who the hell is Eubanks?
That's
Like
what I'm
seriously,
saying, dude.
no,
It's just
dude,
like that's what I'm saying, bro. Go ahead.
here's the thing. You could fight Triple G, Rorta, Charlo, and you could have fought Andre, but you choose not to. When the fight was brought to you, when Eddie brought an Andre fight to your attention, you didn't want to take the fight. But here's the thing, he tries to imitate Roy Jones so much. Respectfully, there's only one Roy Jones. Roy as a trainer, needs to take this dude aside and say, yo, I know you're a fan of mine, but you can't imitate me, man. You need to follow strategy, man, and stop trying to imitate me. There's a reason why we game plan. There's a reason why we took a strategy every fight and everything. Stop trying to imitate me.
That is weird, Drew. How he's trying to fight exactly like him. You think there's a possibility that's what I mean? That what's his name showed him that style his damn self, Roy Jones. Do you think he's like, hey, do it like this? Let's see if you can imitate my style. So it's like that's the way Roy Jones is probably training him, because that's the way Roy Jones knows how to fight. So he's telling him, he's bringing back his style and he's letting Eubanks use it,
But here's the thing. Here's the difference. We all here agree. Chris Eubanks is not 1 ounce as talented as Roy Jones Jr. ever was. Roy Jones's style is based off Roy Jones being so talented in the ring and everything. But as he got older, that talent went away. That means that style diminished and he was able to get hit more. And he was able to get hurt more and get knocked out more. There was a stretch that Roy Jones got knocked out in 5 straight fights.
Damn, bro, that's pretty sad.
Hey, who should Brook fight then? Should he retire or who should he fight? Or is there like an old guy name, big old guy name?
Here's my thing. Brook, I think should move up to 154 because he didn't make 147. He came in at 148, which is a pound, and he came in at 148 and maybe 0.5, which is I think he's above the welterweight limit by a pound and a half, which is which if he was going for a title, he probably wouldn't be going for that title after that. But if I were him, I'd move up to 154. You can probably fight maybe Danny Garcia. You probably get a payday with Tim Tszyu.
That's a good fight, man. That DSP.
Ooh, that's a good fight. 154, Danny Garcia.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
That would be a good fight for him.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the Tim Tszyu, because I just looked at the schedule.
Also would be a good fight for him.
Tim Tszyu, that's a dangerous fight, though. I think more dangerous than. DSP,
it's a name on Tim Tszyu's resume. So,
and it's an opportunity for Brook to get a title if he wants to get a title at 154.
But also, let's keep in mind, bros, that with all that damage that he has, Brook has, he's not gonna want. We shouldn't ask him to take those risks where he could be hurt like that. Either.
I don't think we are. We're just asking. We're just saying if he wants.
With Tszyu, though,
there's one
don't you
guy
think that's more risky with Tszyu, Tim Tszyu?
Hell yeah.
It is, but here's one guy I think he can explore because I think the kid has some flaws in his game and he's young. The 6'6" Fundora.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at bad look. Bad hook or left hook, and they got Erickson Lubin versus Fundora, that guy, on April 9th.
So I will look at those fights, but I will also look at possibly if he stays at welterweight, Keith Thurman, maybe. Oh man, I would not match him up with Boots or Virgil Ortiz. I would definitely not match him up with that. Or maybe if you want to give a step up fight for this guy, for Kell Brook, Blair the Frail Cobbs.
Dude, that guy. Okay, well, see, that's some deep knowledge you're showing us. Yeah, I mean, I know that guy by just trying to. He tries to be famous. I've seen him go around, but I'm Blair Cobbs. Woo! I only know him by one fight. Is that what is that? Yeah. So whatever, is he any good,
Yeah.
Drew? Like I've seen him once. What do you think? I mean,
Here's the
let's see.
thing.
All right.
Here's the thing. He's 32 years old. He has 15 professional fights. Like, I really like. He's been down before. I really think he has power, knockout power, and everything. But I think it's a point that he's with Golden Boy. So Oscar has to pull a trigger on this dude sooner or later because he's 32 years old. He has to put him up in a step up fight. And Brook might be the perfect fight for him as a step up opponent. But if you look at it like this, I don't think Blair Cobbs goes far in this. I don't think Blair Cobbs is a titleist in this division. I don't think Blair Cobbs is a titleist, period.
Damn, this some hardcore shit. We're talking about Blair Cobb.
Because I look at it like this. Blair Cobbs has stamina issues, in my opinion. I think Blair Cobbs has some defensive issues. And even though he's a Philly fighter, his story, he's a Philly fighter, he was homeless, now he's in Vegas. He lives in Vegas and everything. I just think that this is a guy that Oscar has put on the show for so long now that it might be the point of no return for Blair, because I think if you match him up against a okay name, Blair could lose the fight. Like they did it with Speedy Rashid Ellis. After he beat Alexis Rocha, you haven't seen that fucking dude since. And you've seen Alexis Rocha before him. So at the end of the day, I look at it like, damn, if you beat a Mexican fighter from Oscar Sable, you're on the shelf.
Oh, damn, Drew.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that
Drew.
one.
Sorry, but come on. He beat Speedy Ellis, beat Alexis Rocha. And Rocha was supposed to be one of Oscar's big stars coming on the zone. And this dude, and then once Speedy Ellis beats him, Alexis Rocha is on the card 5 months later, and you haven't seen shit from Rashid Ellis since. And then Jaime Mejia now, Canelo, he's Oscar's new Canelo. He's Canelo's 2.0 and everything. He's like this. Yo, we're gonna build you just like Canelo Alvarez's career.
Come on now, Drew. You're being a little hard on Canelo and Munguia. Come on.
No, listen. Hear me out.
All right, let's go.
Because you got Oscar treating that. Oh, Mejia's gonna beat Canelo one day. That's fucking laughable. He's slow as fuck. How the fuck he's gonna be Canelo Alvarez?
I like Munguia. He's
You know
entertaining
what,
as fuck.
dude? You know what? I think Mugia is getting better, actually, man. Like I don't think he beats Canelo yet, but maybe outside of the power, like I think he's got a lot of decent fundamentals. Like he's pretty sound. It looks like he has one hell of a chin.
He's getting better, Drew.
This last fight, man, I became a fan of Munguia because this last fight, man, he's entertaining. He's like must-watch TV now.
Do you want to know why they choose Demetrius Barlow, the fight in this fight? Because he was on the undercard of the Gabe Rosado fight, and he looked horrible, and they know he was coming back from a 2-year layoff. At that time, he looked horrible. He was a good fighter before he had the layoff, and after that, this is a good name we can have on his resume.
Damn,
we can build him up. And then here's the thing: Mejia barely made 160, and then he was fucking drained after the.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that he barely made it. In fact, I think at the weigh-in he was like 159.2. So that's not barely making it.
Did you see him on the floor?
Yeah, I seen that part where they were saying he was fainting, but a lot of fighters, get lightheaded like that. Part of barely making weight is more like you're still drained after the weigh-in, right?
He is drained. He was drained after the weigh-in.
No, I'm saying after. Once you fight, if you're drained while you're fighting, that's when the weight becomes very dangerous for you. No,
like I look at
rehydrate.
Fainting is never a good look when you're.
But we don't know if he fainted because he says that he didn't. Which
when they're
at
giving
the
him
same
air,
time too,
When they give him,
You know, at
they're
the
throwing the towel and throwing air at him. It's not a good look.
yeah, that
I
but
don't
he
know. I
told
look
them
at
that he felt lightheaded. You know, I think they exaggerated with the feigning part. I think that he got a little lightheaded and decided to sit down, and they're like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Well, I'm hot. I'm hot." So they're like blowing air at him with a towel. Like, I know that that's not good, but at the same time, it wasn't feigning. You know, but at least also I don't know if that's true. Maybe he
I
did
look at
feign.
it like this. I'm gonna look at it like this. They're saying that he's ready for a title shot now. Of course he's ready for a title shot. The guy you're the mandatory for is about to move up to 168.
Come
So
on, Drew. You don't expect him
that's
to beat Andrade, do you? Do you
I
expect him
don't
to
I
beat
know it's not gonna
Andrade?
be that Andre, but come on
Okay,
now,
then
man.
you don't expect him to
No.
fight Andrade, right?
I'm picking
Andrade's like,
Munguia. I'm
how
picking
Here's the
old
Munguia
is
now.
Andrade? And he hasn't done nothing. Yet you want the
because
same
nobody
thing for
wants to
Munguia?
fight with you, man. That's the point. Here's the thing. I'm gonna show you this right now. I'm gonna tell you this. I don't think he fights Janabek either.
I think he probably does. That's a good fight for him, though.
But
I'm
I
saying.
don't think I think Janabek beats the bars off him.
Well, you know,
I
it
don't
seems
know,
to me,
man.
Drew, like
It'd
there's
be a
going to be
good
some
fight.
good opportunities for Munguia to possibly prove you wrong. And if he proves you wrong on any of these fights, is there a chance that you might become a believer?
Yeah, Drew's pretty solid like that. If he's wrong about something,
I'm a side guy, but here's the
yeah.
thing. Oscar waited too fucking long to say he's ready for a title fight now because this dude can't even make 160 anymore.
Oh,
Bro, when did
Drew.
Andrade become a champion, bro? I doubt he did it at like 25. You know, dude.
Bro, he's like on the Charlo plan, bro. How old is
Come
Charlo
on.
now? Still
Yeah,
hasn't taken a
31. That's
step
what I'm
up.
saying, dude. Like, I
I
mean,
think Boo
Munguia's
Boo's
like
a little
25.
older. Boo
yeah,
Boo's
dude.
like a couple years older.
What was Lomachenko?
Uber's like,
Was he
Uber's
world champ?
31.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. So like, if you think about it, like I understand that Munguia's had a lot of fights, but he's actually done quite well at 25. He's not necessarily like young like Teofimo Lopez was or Benavidez, but he's right there, dude. He's very young still. He just
But
turned
here's the
25.
thing. Out of 39 fights, the two best fighters he has on his resume is Gabe Rosado and Spike O'Sullivan.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah, you're right there.
For this
But
day and
let,
age. For this day
let
and
me
age,
ask
that's
you
like pretty
something,
good.
Drew, because I spoke about this earlier. Sorry, 92. I think what it is we've grown to expect too much out of the Mexican fighters, bro. It's like we expect them to fight every single style, but we don't put the same amount of expectancy from other fighters, man. What do you think about that?
I put every expectancy on other fighters. If I think you're good enough that you should take the big fights, you should take the big fights, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you just said that Janibek would beat the hell out of Munguia. So
because I always thought Janibek can make noise. I watched a lot of Janibek's fights,
Who's
and I
Janibek?
love Janibek's style.
You think he could have beat Andrade?
He would give him a lot of problems, but I don't think he beats him.
Yeah,
Wait, who's Janibek? I don't know who this guy is.
Janibek
He's
is
on
from
Twitter,
Pakistan.
man. Yeah, you can follow him on Twitter. He's calling everybody out, man.
Like Janibek is a good ass fighter. I think Buddy McGirt trains him. I think so.
He's a
He
160?
he has the right system around him, and I think he has the right people around him to make him succeed. I think he's a guy that can really make noise at 160. Like he can give everybody problems at 160. I think he beats Triple G now. Janibek.
Really? Oh man.
I just don't. Here's the thing. I think Triple G is at the twilight of his career because he's looked horrible against Dovichenko, which I thought he lost. He looked horrible in his last fight against this Canadian dude.
Steve Rolls.
The Canadian dude is actually a nobody.
Steve Rolls?
I think Steve Owens, whatever his name is, I think he's Canadian.
Yeah.
So, and then here's the thing. Now Eddie hung him up in a deal against Canelo. I'm like, dude, I don't want to see no fucking Triple G versus Canelo. Free man, come on now. If you're gonna put a resume up, if you want to put a table up for Canelo, excuse me. How about this? Hey, how about this? I'm gonna put up I'm gonna give you $90 million. You're gonna fight Demetrius Bivol and possibly Zoto Moraes.
That's a
That's
hell of
the
a lot of money, man.
Man,
That's
they
a
don't want
hard.
that.
Well,
The zone wants Triple G and Canelo. Like since they start, that's why they signed Triple G in the first place. They want
and you want to know
Canelo.
why? Yeah, you know why they want Triple G because they promised Triple G a third Canelo fight. That's why. That was the commitment of that contract that he signed.
No, I think but
No, the zone wants that
yeah,
too, though. The zone.
I think the zone said the only way we'll give you all this money is if you promise to fight Canelo, right? So that's that was kind of like that's the only reason they signed Triple G because of Canelo, because they said, hey, we want these two guys to fight on our network, so let's sign Triple G. That way, that'll ensure that we get this fight. But
When you got, but here's the thing: when you got dumbasses like Chris Maddox, fucking putting my dumbass narrative. Oh, how about Triple G? Well, I'm looking for Triple G versus Mejia and everything.
Oh yeah.
I like that one, man. I like
Who
that.
wouldn't want that? Why wouldn't you like Triple G versus Munguia? How would you
I
not like
like
that?
it. I like it, but the thing about it is the likelihood of it happening. Do you see any likelihood of it happening? Because they've been talking about it for the last 3 years with Mejia and everything.
Well, it's likelier than the other fights you want because they're on the same network.
I don't think it's happening. It's
So you
not
think it's
happening.
more likely they fight other guys from other networks than the fighters in their own network?
I don't even think they fight fighters in their own networks if they had an opportunity to. Because here's the thing. Fucking Triple G and Andre are in the same stable. They wouldn't make that fight could have been made.
That's because Triple G don't want the smoke, man. It's not.
Triple G don't want the smoke. He wants to wait for a Canelo fight. Then he wants to go to an easier fight, big money payday because Japanese television, the viewership.
He wants the preservation fights, right, Drew?
He wants fights that will favor him. He thinks he can beat Rhoda and go to Japan and have that big ass viewership of Japanese audience and make so much money off that fight. Hey,
hell yeah!
But here's the thing, man.
Easy fight for Triple G, right? He's just gonna beat the whop out of him.
Easy fight. It's probably is an easy fight for Triple G.
Like
I don't know why Murata wanted that fight, man.
Ryota would be he'd be a bigger win than anyone in Boo Boo's record. In any of the guys' record. All these guys, all Canelo potential opponents, Murata would be their best win.
Hey, Nando says something to you, Drew. He says BS Triple G wasn't getting paid by anyone else other than DAZN. Come on, Drew.
Nando.
wait, who of Canelo's potential opponents has a better win than Ryota Murata? Who, like Benavidez? Charlo?
I don't know, man. I don't really consider Ryota Murata a good fighter, bro. I think he's
unproven, bro. Murata's unproven.
So who does Boo Boo have better than Murata?
I don't know. That would be a guy on his resume, though, on Boo Boo's resume.
Hey, dude, I heard that Murata got a gift in his last fight. I don't even think I actually watched it, to be honest, but people are saying that's like a modern robbery against.
Didn't he knock him out by Rob Plant, or something like that?
I gotta watch the fight too. I think
or something like that. Let me look it up. But people are saying that Murata got a gift. Maybe I should go back and watch it and see if it's worth rescoring with the Altuve crew.
Well, maybe you should watch it for a comedy that he sucks.
I didn't say he sucks. I said he got a gift.
The other
that's
guy,
all.
Drew.
I said he's unproven, bro.
You should watch it for you.
Yeah. Drew was like, "Where's he from? Japan? He's a bum."
No. Here's the thing. I said unproven. There's a difference between sucks and unproven. That's initials included.
He's a champion who beat the guy who beat him, Plant. I think that was his name, Plant, right? The black dude?
Plant? There's a black guy named Plant?
I'm not Caleb Plant. Some would consider Caleb Plant black, but I'm not talking about him.
Yeah, that's true. They were saying, man, the only thing white about Caleb Plant is his white shoes, huh? Somebody was saying that.
Not you, no.
Not me. On Twitter, bro.
I look at it. I thought at the end of the day, Canelo was going to fight Bivol. I said he's going to fight Bivol. Watch. And
you like that fight, Drew?
Dude,
I kind of do like the fight. I kind of do like the fight with Bivol and everything. But Bivol, I'll tell you the truth, he looked born. His last 2 fights were born as hell.
Yeah, but it still makes it a dangerous fight because he's very safe. You know, he stays at his distance and he
Yeah,
don't
but
come in till he sees an
Hey,
opening.
Drew,
And
who you know that fighter you're talking about, Jenik or what's his name?
Janabek,
Jenik? What's his best win? Is it true his best win is Hasim 9?
yeah, I think that's his best win.
All right, so your boy Moriata, he stopped him in the 7th round about 4 fights ago.
And Janabek stopped him too. So what's your point?
I know. So that's one of his wins, and then he just beat Rob. Oh no, my bad. I got the name wrong. It's Brandt. Rob Brandt. Then he
man.
lost, and then he stopped him by TKO.
Look what Nando says. Murata, the modern day Marco Antonio Rubio, just the paper champion. That reminds me of how Triple G
Nando, I
hit
have
Rubio
to agree
up.
with you rarely for once in your freaking life.
Hey man, I like when Nando's in the chat. You know, he keeps panelists honest. You know what I mean?
And to be honest, we missed a couple of his good ass comments. You know, Murata has 0 head movement and looks slow. He will be easy target for Triple G to hit often, and it
Just like
shouldn't last long.
Nakatani.
The purses for that fight are huge. That's true because Murata is a superstar in Japan, and
He's a gold medalist.
It's big.
He's a
and I
gold
also
medalist.
remember. Check this out. I briefly remember that Canelo. They were saying Canelo was going to fight Murata, so I was kind of like laughing at that one because Triple G's been talking about fighting Murata for what, like 4 years already.
About a couple years.
And that would have been
Man.
so funny for Canelo to just take that fight away from Triple G.
Yo, I'm gonna answer this comment right here. Do you know why Bivol dominated every second of that fight? Because the guy did not move his freaking head, but Bivol got hit by the guy too with good shots. So tell you the truth, Bivol can get hit.
This is a dangerous fight for Canelo, bro. He could get knocked out by Bivol. We don't know, man.
I don't know. He's not.
This ain't
Bivol's not knocking out Canelo, man.
This isn't Canelo's natural weight, bro. You know, these
Bivol's
are going to
not
be dangerous
knocking out
fights.
Canelo.
He's not even really a natural 168.
So you think that Canelo's got a rock solid chin, huh, Drew?
And nobody's not really many people hurt him yet. Nobody's really hurt him that much to knock him down. He's never been
Come
down.
on, man. What about Jose Miguel or what's Cotto's brother?
Jose Miguel.
you remember Plant bringing that up? You telling me that Jose Miguel Cotto's brother could put him on queer legs, but I can't?
Queer Street,
Bro,
I think it was.
I think the guy that hurt him the most was Triple G.
Man, that pinch is fake, bro.
So Drew, what you're trying to say is that Canelo has a top quality chin. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. You know, I just love it when Drew has to say something positive about Canelo. I just
But
love
I'm
it.
looking at it like this.
He has the best chin in boxing.
In order for Bivol to beat Canelo, Bivol has to be moving, keep his range, and he has to stay at that range. He has to be able to hold Canelo off, and I just don't see it going on like that for 12 rounds. And Bivol, tell you the truth, he beat Joe Smith, and he got rocked by Joe Smith. Tell you the truth, if that round would have went on another 30 seconds, I think Joe Smith would have knocked Bivol out.
So you're saying that Canelo should not even fight Bivol because it doesn't prove anything?
No, I'm just saying how the fight will probably go. I still think it's a good fight at the end of the day, but I tell you, Bivol could be hurt because Joe Smith almost knocked him out.
No,
I need to go back and watch that fight. I watched like the first 6 rounds the other day, and then I got bored of it. But I need to maybe go finish it up.
So who should Canelo fight then, Drew? Who do you want him to try? A better question.
I want him to fight Andre.
Yeah, Drew, he's one of those rare people that thinks Andrade would give Canelo the business. Well, wait, do you actually think Andrade would beat Canelo?
I think Andrade will beat Canelo.
Oh shit!
You're killing me. It's okay, but Drew, do you think that? Do you think that we think that Andrade would beat Canelo, or are you pretty sure that we actually think that Canelo would beat Andrade?
Oh, you think Canelo would beat Andrade?
Okay, so you don't think we're capping or nothing. You know that we believe that Canelo would beat Andrade, right?
Send him to hell. I think he'd put him in the hospital.
All right, and I believe you when you think Andrade would beat Canelo,
but guys,
I don't see it.
I gotta get out of here now, man. I gotta take care of some shit.
All right,
Thanks for
brother. Well,
having
hey,
me.
thanks for joining us. And you know what? We're going to wrap it up anyways because we got Mano a Mano Live coming on at the top of the hour, dude. So I want to thank everybody for coming to hang out with us. We just thought we'd shoot the link out there, and we were lucky enough to get 92 AKU here. It's always great talking to him. He's got a girlfriend and he's working out now, so he doesn't really have as much time for us in the YTBC, which we
Yeah.
understand, man. We totally understand. But it's always good to touch base with him, and it was awesome talking with Drew as always, man. I want to thank everybody who was in the chat team, Batman Boxing, Nando, George, dude. Thank you guys so much for kicking it with us, man. It's always fun. So we'll catch you guys later. Peace.